Hey you, it's Reese, and we are back with a this is I don't know, this is an exposure video. This is words of wisdom. I've done prophetic words on this stuff, so maybe a prophetic response. I don't know. This video is gonna be long, so I just want to get that out there. I don't know how long, but I think this will probably be the longest video I've ever done. Not because I want it to be. Not because I want it to be, but there's a lot of stuff I have to explain and show in this video. I've never done a video like this before, ever in my life. Have I done a video like this before? And I didn't know I was going to be called to do a video on this. Some of it, yeah, but not to the extent that I have to do this video on. I didn't take notes because I want to be completely spirit-led. I don't want to try and make sure I'm sticking to each point like, yeah, and this, and that's not what this video is about. I do have pictures because it's part of the video, like it's evidence. So I'll be kind of going based off some of these pictures, and then other stuff without the pictures. I'm just going to go from what thus saith the Lord, what he leads me to say. And, you know, I don't want to speak on things that he doesn't want me to speak on. So again, that's why I didn't take notes. But this will be a lengthy video. Sorry, this this video is gonna give me a panic attack. All right, so no, it's not. It's not gonna give me a panic attack, but I feel anxious. I feel panicky. So, Heavenly Father, please get me through this. Get me through this, please. Honestly, I don't even really know where to start. Jesus. Oh, Father God, please help me. It can start. It'll start. Where do you want? Okay. All right. We can do this. We got this. All right. So I guess we can start with how I ended up at my ex-husband's house 2 times. So the first time he told me to leave, and then this is the second time. So the first time, I went to go pick up some stuff from Florida when me and the kids were living in the shelter, and when I came back, the enemy had his eyes on me. He was using his double agents to, you know, peep me out. And so they happened to do a room raid like the day after I got back with some of our stuff, and the Lord blessed us with a whole lot of electronic equipment and stuff that totaled to be about, I mean, some were software programs for my youngest daughter, some were you know, sensory toys and stuff, you know, laptop, all these different stuff, you know, because I have to start doing videos of her and her growth and her progress and other things that I'll be putting her into that the Lord has led me to know that I need to do for her. And so they're seeing some of this stuff, and like, so I got threatened, basically. Oh, well, it kind of looks like it's for personal use and not your daughter. I'm not here to tell you. I forgot what my caseworker at the shelter said, but she basically said, you know, someone could call an investigation on you, and they can, you know, find that, you know, this stuff you purchase it's personal use. First of all, and I didn't say anything. God basically told me it was a Saul and David situation, and to not say anything and to take her threat seriously. Even though I was like, God, she can do whatever she wants. Like, you led me to get this stuff. You provided a way for me to go to Florida and get it. And do that drive by myself, 16 plus there, 16 plus back in a weekend, in 3 days. So I'm just like, but he said, take her threat seriously. And so the day she sent me that email, or the next day, no, I think it was the day she sent me that email, when I got off of work, it was basically pack up and leave. And I was like, okay. So as I'm asking my ex-husband, can we stay with him, I'm packing up, not knowing what he's gonna say. And so he ended up saying yes. At first he was kind of like beating around, like, well, you know, just be nice, and why are they doing that to you? And I'm like, I told you, I got a target on my back. I'm a child of God. I do his work. I speak when people don't want me to speak. I do things when people don't want me to do things. Like, I'm a child of God. Satan has targets, not even one. I got targets on me, and so do my kids, because they're all blessed. Even my oldest one, even though she doesn't talk to me. So I take her threat seriously, pack up. My ex-husband comes. We put some of the stuff in his car, put some of the stuff in the rental that I had. So that night I get there and he lets me know, you know, because at this time he didn't tell me him and his ex-girlfriend were broken up. They both led me to believe that they were still together. And I was, after I found that, I was just like, it's kind of dumb. Like, why would you lead me to believe that you guys are still together? But whatever. So they played it and everything. And even when I would have, because it's a 1-bedroom, 1 bath, and the bathroom's in, you know, his room. And when I would come in to use the bathroom, I would see them, like, they're not cuddled or anything. And I was just like, it's weird, why aren't you guys cuddling? But then I thought, okay, well, probably, you know, out of respect or, you know, decency. Okay, that's nice. So anyway, the first night I get here, my ex-husband's like, you know, well, we need to talk, you know, we all three need to talk. And I was like, well, obviously, yeah. And he says, she wants an apology. For what? For you calling her a witch. Negative. I will not. And I will never apologize for calling her a witch. I know what my father showed me. I know what my father told me. No, I'm not apologizing for that. Now, there's some other things that she may feel I need to apologize for, and I will apologize for those things. But when it comes to that, I will never apologize for that. So I get here and we go outside and we start talking and stuff, and then she brings it up, you know, well, why do you feel like you don't need to apologize to me for calling me a witch? Like, that's a very serious, you know, in my family, and my ex-husband, I tell her, it's not about your family, this is about you, like, you know, how you feel about it, or how you feel about it, or whatever. And so I told her to her face, I will never apologize to you for that, ever. Because that would basically be like me saying, oh, okay, I lied and called you a witch. I didn't lie. Or that would be like me saying, oh, God lied to me, or that's not what God showed me or told me. He confirmed it on many different occasions. No, I'm not apologizing. But I did apologize to her for some other things. So that was hashed, you know, talked about, you know, the cooking and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, you know, okay, well, if she wants me to cook, I'll help cook. But, you know, that's, you know, she's the woman of the house. I don't want to step in her kitchen because she can cook. If she couldn't cook, then I'd be like, I'll help cook. But she can cook. So I don't want to, you know, step on no toes or be disrespectful. So then my ex-husband was like, it's everybody's kitchen, blah, 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 blah. You cook, I'll cook. And I was just like, okay. So, and this is also going into some of the reasons why God put me here. We all exposed each other. I was exposed, my ex-husband was exposed, she was exposed, more so this time around than the first time. But the first time I was here was the first exposure, and God set that up. And so he's, you know, my ex-husband is a narcissist. I knew he had narcissistic characteristics, traits. But I didn't know until I got here this time, not even the first time, the second time around, did God let me know. I was just like, my Lord, he's a full-blown narcissist. And I had no clue. It took me being here with her here, and we're both witnessing the same stuff about him. And I'm just like, and we're talking and we're swapping stories, and we're both just kind of like, Jesus. So, and this video isn't to throw shade on my ex-husband. This video isn't to throw shade at her. But it is to expose. It is to, it's this video is warning, words of wisdom, like a whole lot of stuff. Okay. So, anyway, if I laugh during any part of this video, it's not because I think stuff is funny. It's just I'm kind of like still in shock. Or if I sound angry at any point in this video, I might be angry, or I might be hurt, or just really passionate about what I'm talking about. Like, I might be all over the place in this video. I'm just letting you know that right now. I will probably be up and down, here, there, everywhere in this video, because my mind is still kind of just like, okay, Jesus. All right, so he was just being like really nice to me, really friendly the first night I got here. And then the second day, he's like, you know, if you want to cook, you know, this and this and this, you know, we would love it. And when I say we, you know, me and the kids, I guess not to like put her like, you know, not to disrespect her or something. And so I had to tell him, it was via text, and I had to tell him, I don't really feel comfortable cooking dishes that you're requesting with your girlfriend there. Like that, I just want to tell you some of the stuff you did and said the first night I came, I would have left you for, and you requesting me to cook certain dishes. That's inappropriate, and you will catch fire for that. I'm just letting you know. So then he got upset with me, and I'm like, dude, I'm trying to help maintain the peace in your home. If I was old girl and I knew you were requesting dishes that your ex-wife and baby mama used to make for you, like, you want to get cut? No, I didn't say that. Anyway, so he even said, you know, I'm gonna watch the game out there, so I might be in you guys' space for a little bit. And I'm thinking, oh wow, he's being really considerate. Narcissist. Didn't even know. And then he said, but you know, if you're doing stuff out there, if you want to watch TV, whatever, then I'll watch TV in the room. And so after my text telling him, like, you know, you're not really maintaining respect like that. Now, if I would have known they weren't together, I wouldn't have been like, oh, yes, for sure. But things would have been different. And I wouldn't have said some of the stuff I said, because then it wouldn't have been disrespectful, because you guys are broken up. But since they both led me to believe they were still together, that was my response to it. Trying to be respectful. So he ended up staying in the room pretty much the whole time I was here, which was only a few days. It was less than a week, and watched TV in here to maintain the respect. And I was like, okay, all right, he's listening. So anyway, one night I thought I heard some stuff, and I text like, nigga, I mean, I know but I already told you, me and the kids will step out on the weekend, give you guys some space, you know, because I know, you know, but I'm awake. Your son's awake. Am I hearing what I think I'm hearing? I wasn't. But I prayed on it and I asked God, and he didn't give me confirmation. He didn't tell me yes, he didn't tell me no. And he did that on purpose, because what transpired after my accusation, that's what needed to happen. So my ex-husband flips on me. He's just like, you know, oh my, you know, the next day, not that night, because he went to sleep. And so since God never told me, no, Sharice, that's not right, that's not what happened, I'm like, no, I said what I said, and I ain't gonna take it back, and don't try to flip the script on me, and no, and all this other stuff. Not like all at the mouth like that, but I basically told him, don't try to flip the script on me. Like, I said what I said. I ain't got nothing to say to you. I will keep, you know, mind my business, keep respect, but I don't have nothing to say to either of you. So after that, and he realized I was not going to take it back or apologize, he was like, yeah, go. Like, I can't have you here accusing me of stuff that I know I didn't do. And I'm just like, dude, he holding tight to this lie. He holding on that. That's fine. So, and it wasn't pride, but I was just like I told her I wouldn't apologize to her about being a witch, or me calling her a witch. And I told him, unless God has me apologize to you, I'm not taking it back. So me, and my daughters, my younger daughters, my son decided to stay. We left, but we came back after I got off of work, and we started getting our stuff ready to put in the car. So all of our stuff was out in the living room. And on the way here, God had been speaking to me about talking to her. And I was just, I'm not talking to her. I don't want to talk to her for. You told me a while ago I didn't need to talk to her because she wasn't going to receive what I had to say anyway. So what I got to talk to her for? But I said, if you want me to talk to her, she speaks to me first, and then that'll let me know that, that's you telling me you want me to talk to her about this. Because I don't feel like talking about none of this stuff, especially knowing she's going to stay with him anyway. Like, I don't feel like it. Like, it's pointless, waste of time, waste of my breath. So I did tell my ex-husband, because she, that morning, I believe, I came out of the bathroom in just my towel. But when I take a shower in the morning, like, they're both asleep. So, I'd hurry up and leave the room and shut the door. I didn't think nothing of it. But she happened to be awake that morning. And I guess she saw me. And she told him, so then he's like, did you walk out of the bathroom? And that's when I told him, like, don't try to flip the script. Like, don't do that. But I told him, I'll apologize to her. Next time I will take my towel and my robe. I honestly didn't mean to offend or disrespect her. So since I remember, because she didn't talk to me. She was on the bed doing whatever she was doing when I got back to pack our stuff. And so I remembered telling my ex-husband that I would apologize to her for that. So I was like, okay, let me just go ahead and apologize. Let me just go ahead and apologize. Because I said I would, and I'm a woman of my word. And then, I finished packing up. So I was like, hey, can I talk to you? And you could tell she was just kind of like, what do you want? So, I told her, hey, about this morning, I apologized, and, disrespect, Because that night, the night before, I slept in the car that night, because I was like, I'm not about to be in here and be disrespected like that or whatever. So she was just like, Sharice, what's going on? Like, what's you sleeping in the car? And I'm like, what is all this? So I told her, and then I forgot how I spoke on it or how it got brought up, but I was just basically, I don't know if she asked me a question or I don't know, but basically God led me to tell her, Jose's a lot more friendly with me than you probably think he is. I know you're not dumb, but I don't think you know as much as you should know. So I didn't even really tell her anything. I told her a few things, and then I just gave her my phones. I gave her my phones, and I said, you can read the text yourself. Like, it's there. Like, I don't have to, no word of mouth, and no, it's right there. You can see it for yourself. So she's reading the text and stuff, and he comes back and hooping and hollering about my stuff being in the living room, because that was really his only thing he could say, because he sees, like, he hears us talking, and he sees, she has my phones and stuff, and she's like kind of trying to hide it. And I'm looking at her like, I don't care. Like, I'm not trying to hide anything. If God tells me to do something, I'm not going to try and hide it unless he says be discreet or whatever. Okay, but other than that, like, why do you think he has me do all these exposure videos? Like, I'll say what I need to say, even if it makes me look whatever kind of way. Like, you don't need to hide that you have my phone. He can see that you have my phone. So then, he says a couple of things like, oh, you did it. Mm-hmm. So he stayed in the room. So she was just like, you want to go outside? And I was just like, that's fine. So we ended up chilling in the car, and she's reading through the text, all this other stuff. We're out there for a minute, so then he's texting me like, you gotta come get all this stuff, and the storage closed at 9, and I was just like, actually, I wasn't not even paying attention to all that. I'm doing my father's work. And so I ended up coming back in to use the bathroom, and he went outside. I didn't know. He went outside and she said that he was like, you really, what did he say? Basically, like, you entertaining all this stuff, like, for real? Which puzzled me too, because I'm like, if you guys are broken up, which I didn't know at that time, but if you guys are broken up, why do you care if she's entertaining anything if you want her to leave? And she's wanting to leave. So I come out of the bathroom and he's on the bed and he's just like, your stuff's all in the living room. You need to get this stuff. And I was just like, that's fine. I'm gonna get it. Like, I'm gonna get it. Like, I'm not trying to stay. I'm gonna get the stuff, but I gotta finish. I gotta finish this. He's like, Sharice, I think I said I gotta finish God's work or something like that, or my father's work. And he goes, God don't run this house. And I was like my heart stopped for a minute and I didn't know how else to respond. It just kind of came out. And I said, oh, but he does. That's why you're broke. He still doesn't believe he's in judgment. And so I'm like, some of the stuff you're going through, it's because you're in judgment. Some of it's your poor choices, but also because you're in trouble. So he said, God doesn't run this house. And I was like, oh, but he does. That's why you're broke. And then I walked back out of the house because I was like, oh my Lord Jesus, he just said that. Like, oh. So anyway, and that's because he's upset with God. And he finally admitted that me staying here this time around, that he's been upset with God. And I was like, I knew, God knew, but you needed to admit it. And God can start working on you and healing you, but you don't say stuff like that. I mean, he was upset. So all that happened, we left, and I'm thinking, okay, God, running out of money for the hotel. What's going on now? Where are you gonna send us? And I'm thinking we're supposed to go with my daughter. And I think I was supposed to ask. I don't even know now if I was supposed to ask her that, because my oldest daughter, we were talking, and she was just like, I can help, but I can't help you in that way. Like that, that can't happen. And I was just like, God, that didn't happen. That didn't work, because I would have loved to go stay with my baby. So when he brought it to me that I would have to ask him if we can come back, I'm like, what? You've got to be kidding me. And I was so upset and I cried and I was just like, I don't want to go back there. Like, why? So he ends up saying we can come back. And by the time we finished getting the car packed up and all this stuff, he says, basically, I don't want to go through all this. I don't know what's going to happen between you guys. And basically, I want to keep my peace. So you can't stay, but you can, you can shower here. You can do your homework. You can eat, but you just, you can't sleep here. And I mean, we've been in the car for however long before. So I was just like, okay, car situation. Of course, I was looking at God like, for real, this is how my 2025 is turning out, like, for real. I could have stayed at the shelter where, like, for real. So I was just like, okay, whatever, like, at least I have somewhere to shower and whatever. So I bring us back and I go inside to wash the clothes or whatever. And as I'm going inside to wash the clothes, my ex-husband's outside working on his uncle's car. Well, his uncle's car. And he said something about, you called her a witch or something like that. And I was just like, wait, what? So anyway, I go inside and he said, talk to your son, or talk to our son. So I go inside and I'm asking my son, like, what are you talking about? So my son, and I had a dream before all this. I had a dream and I told my son and my daughter this dream I had. So as things are happening and he's telling me stuff and what he told my ex-husband's girlfriend. Yeah, I need to scoot over because I'm needing to show pictures on this side so you guys can see. Anyway, basically, it was like I was like, you're a Judas, you betrayed me, And do I tell them stuff? I do, to protect them and warn them. So I had mentioned something about, she's doing her stuff again. She's doing her witch stuff again. And so he ends up telling her that, and he talks to her about some more stuff. And I'm just like, what is your deal? Why would you tell, if you were in your school or store or something, they're like, duck and hide, a shooter's in the building, are you gonna pop up and be like, hey, shooter, I'm over here? Like, why would you tell her? Not that I can't say it to her face, but not everything God calls us to speak on. Now, if God said, I want you to tell her, hey, I know what you're doing, God sees everything that you're doing, then I would have done that. But at that time, he didn't tell me to speak on it. So that threw me. It was just like betrayal after betrayal after betrayal. Like, people just, door shut here, people turning on me left and right. And I'm just like, I'm doing your work. I'm doing your work. And I keep getting punched in the face, stabbed in the back. Like, I don't get it. What is the problem? I'm tired. I am tired. So I was already getting tired. So, but when that happened with my son, on top of everything and everyone else, when I heard that about my son, that broke me. I mean, it broke me. So I tell him to get in the car. You're going to help us, take our stuff to storage, and I'm going to drop you off. And I want nothing else to do with you. Like, you don't have to call me mom. You can call her mom. Like, why would you tell her some intimate stuff we talk about and I talk about to you to protect you? Like, but it wasn't his fault. I had a dream about it. It wasn't his fault. So, but even me knowing it wasn't his fault, it still hurt to the point where I was like, I don't care if it was an attack. I don't care if it was witchcraft. Like, you hurt me. So, he's not answering my questions and stuff, and I'm yelling at him like, no, you better speak, and before I punch you or smash your head in that window. Like, I flip. Like, I mean, I used to talk to my kids like that before my walk with God, and I stopped. But the point I was that day, I was like, you could get the business like you weren't my son, like, for real. So we get to the storage, and my daughter's helping and he's not helping. I was just like, he's like, why should I help you if you said I'm not, you're not my mom? You're right, you got that. Give me your phone though, because you're not answering these questions. You will give me that phone. So he keeps his phone. He like grabs his pockets like and I'm like, give me the phone. So I kind of like trying to move his arms, his hands and stuff to get the phone, and he grabs my wrist. So I'm trying to get out. Like, that dude's strong. I'm trying to get out, and then I got my nail too. So I'm like, dude, I'm not about to break a nail trying to hurt you. So I just dug my nails into his wrist. That didn't faze him. I tried to kick him in his little, in his boy spot, because I was super upset. Like, I know you wouldn't do your dad like this. I know for a fact you wouldn't do your dad like this. So the fact that I'm your mom, you think you can do this, that, like, it's just building up. It's continuing to build up. So, so my daughter finally, she gets in the middle and she's like, Mom, stop, you guys stop, Mom. And so she gets in the middle, and then I swing at him. I didn't know I connected until my ex-husband brought him and my youngest daughter to the hotel I was staying at. I'll get to that point in a minute. But I swung at him, but I didn't know I connected. And then I left him there. I was right outside the storage. It's an indoor storage, so he was inside. He could have gotten out, but he was inside. I don't think he knew he could have got out. He just kind of blinked and was just like, oh my God, I'm here. I can get kidnapped. She left me type thing. And I wasn't thinking about his feelings or nothing at that time. I was just like, dude, you, man. So I'm calling, texting their dad, like, come get him. I'm leaving him, come get him. And so when he finally gets there, I tell my daughters, go get in the car with your dad. And I tell him, he's in there, go get him. And I take off. I wasn't mad at my daughters, but I was so broken at that point. And I was just like, I don't know what else to do. I don't know how to feel. I don't know what to say. I don't know if I want to keep walking, not like with God, but it's just like, I'm so done. I'm so tired. I can't do this anymore. And I was just so focused on like, my son, my son, my son. After everything I've been through, after everything we've been through, me and my kids, I was just like, my son, like, you really? So, anyway, so I'm getting texts. I'm getting texts from my oldest daughter, like, you just need to leave them with someone else. And my ex-husband's like, I ain't even swung on him. And I'm just like, he didn't do you how he did me. So I told my oldest daughter, okay, yeah, you who are you getting? Sarai and JS, just Sarai? Like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Go. That's fine. I'm tired. You keep them, have them. Like, I can't do this anymore. So I'm driving and I wanted to drink so bad. I haven't drank, at that time, I hadn't drank or smoked cigarettes for 3 years. And at this point, I'm just like, I need a drink. I need a drink because this, and I'm talking to God and all this stuff. And I'm like, I can't do this no more. Like, I can't do this anymore. So leads me to my next point. There's more to that, but I'm trying to make this video as short as possible because, again, it's already going to be long. So, in my rental, my Turo rental, I'm on the freeway. And I just skirt. And it was raining that day. Skirt. And the car hydroplanes off the freeway onto like this grassy hill area in a ditch, hopped up out of the ditch, back up on the hill, and then across the service road on this side. And I wasn't drunk, so of course I remember all of it if I would have been drunk. And I just sat there. I just sat there because I'm like, that should have killed me. That should have killed me. And how did this car really get off the freeway into a ditch, up a hill, and then perfectly pretty much parked or slowed down on the side of the service road where I'm not in any danger, I'm not in any way of the cars, none of that. And I did pray before I did that though, because I'm like, God, I don't want to hurt no one else with my shenanigans. Like, I don't want anyone else to get hurt, but I'm tired and I'm done. You protect those around me, okay? And so I just sat there because I'm just like, okay, well, I didn't die. I know that was you. And then I'm just looking at the freeway and no car skipped a beat. Nobody was hurt. But I didn't know at that time someone had called it in to the police. But I'm sitting there staring at the freeway because there's an exit or there's an entrance to get back on the freeway not too far from me. And I was just looking at the freeway like, maybe I should try again because that time didn't work. But before I can set it in stone if I'm going to do it again or not, I see a police SUV pull up behind me and I was just like, oh. Okay. So he gets out and he's asking me, ma'am, are you that car that, what did he say, fish hooked or fish something off the freeway? And I was just like, oh, yeah, nothing was wrong with the car. Nothing was wrong with the car. And he's like, well, it looks like, the car is pretty good. Is it still running? I'm like, yeah, it's still running. I'm about to run back on the freeway and do it again. I didn't tell him that. But I'm listening to a song and it's about God, but it's crazy. It's funny what you hear and what you see when you're in moments like that versus when you're not. Because the same song I was playing on repeat when I did what I did, I heard something completely different in that song then than when I played it after, like 2 weeks afterwards. And I'm like, this is what the song was saying? Because at this time, I thought the song was saying this. Crazy. So anyway, he, I'm crying and stuff. And he's like, well, are you okay? Do I need to call anyone? I'm just like, no, he's like, well, man, can I ask what you're doing? Like, you got sad music playing and you're crying and can you come out the car? Get out the car. So I'm just talking to him and stuff. And he's like, well, what, transpired to have you like this? And he was super sweet at first. So then finally I was just like, I'm tired. Because he was like, are you okay to get back in the car? What do you say? Would you hurt yourself? Basically something like, are you okay? Would you do something to yourself? And I was just like, yes, I'm freaking tired. He asked me, did I do it on purpose? Did I hydroplane off the freeway on purpose? And I said, yes, I did. Because since God didn't allow me to die, I was like, I just need rest somewhere, somehow, I need help. I'm tired. I'm tired. And God told me long before I started the journey in Georgia and before all the homelessness and stuff took place, when I was staying with my ex-husband the first time, when we weren't even divorced yet, and when our divorce was finalized here, God told me I was going to need help. And I was just like, okay, all right. And so as time's going on, I said, oh, I see. Yeah, I need help. So, he put me in the cop's car, and he took me to the hospital, but he wasn't all friendly and stuff like that. He still tried to maintain friendliness, but I could tell, as soon as I said I wanted to harm myself, it's like he shifted, his brain shifted, you're one of those, like I was a drug addict or not a murderer, but it's just kind of like, oh, you're one of those, let me get you to the hospital. And so I didn't say anything though, how he was kind of holding my arm to walk me to the hospital and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, my father's gonna get you because you're not handling me. You're not handling me right. So I get to the hospital, they take a look at me and I'm just crying, I fall asleep for a minute and I wake back up crying. And I fall asleep for a minute and I wake back up crying. And they got a lady sitting in there with me watching me. And I'm just looking at her and just like, can you give me some more tissue? If you're going to be sitting here watching me, can you give me some tissue? So finally get me over to the mental department, the insane department. And I was there for a week, and they take your phones and everything. So I didn't have anyone's number, but even if I did, I had a couple people's numbers, but I was just like, for what? Call for what? I've reached out to people in my family before all this happened, just to say, hi, and I love you. And I got responses, half responses, hey. And then some didn't respond to me at all. And I was just like, okay, well, God, I guess you'll fix those relationships when and if you want to. So when I was in there, I was just like, call who and for what? I have no one. No one. So he did let me know before that even happened, because I kept seeing a number, and it happened to be the first 3 digits of one of my friends from the shelter's number. And I was like, you were saying him all along. You were saying he was safe. I can let him know. And he, so they gave me my phone. I was able to get his number out. And then the Toro app with the rental stuff, you can only, connect with them via the app. So there was no number I could call and talk to, hey, this. So I'm trying to figure all this stuff out, because all my stuff is in the rental. They impounded the rental, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to get that rental out, but I can't get it out. The owner does. Then I got to get my stuff, just crazy. So I reached out to my friend from the shelter, and he's helping me with everything. He's like, the car's here, because he's like, well, where do you think it is? And I told him. So he called, and he's like, yeah, the car's here. And he helped me with everything. He picked me up, and I was there for either a week or 6 days. 6 days or a week. But the next day, they made me voluntary. So they first brought me there involuntary, and then the next day, I guess after speaking to me, whatever, they said I was voluntary. And I was just like, okay, thank you. Which that was God too, because God knew I was going to need to leave before the time they would have released me, because they wouldn't have released me until Monday, but God wanted me out of there Saturday. So my friend came to pick me up Saturday, took me to go get my stuff. None of my stuff was touched. None of it was stolen. The car was still fine. He took me to my hotel room, to shower. He took me to go get my prescriptions, because they ended up giving me anxiety, depression, and sleeping pills. God said I couldn't take the anxiety pills, so, which I could have used right now. But he said I couldn't take the anxiety pills. And then, so I stayed there, I think 2 or 3 days. 2 or 3 days I stayed there, and, you know, he took me to go get food for me to be there, like, you know, like he took care of me. And, you know, he was the only one I had to take care of me. But when I get out and I get my phones and stuff, and I'm seeing these texts, and, you know, their dad, and he's like, you know, baby girl's asking about you, and, you know, all this stuff. My mom's texting, like, you know, are you okay? Please just let me know you're okay. And my aunt's texting, and, you know, all this other stuff. So while I was in the hospital, there's a few things that happen, and now I'll do a video on that if the Lord leads me to. I'll do a video on that, because some crazy stuff happened in there too. I was just like, well, that's crazy. But one of the questions the doctors asked me, because they kept asking me, you know, are you depressed? Are you this? And I'm like, no, I'm not depressed. I'm tired. Like, I'm tired. I'm tired of life. I'm tired of this world. Like, I'm tired. I want to go home. I want to go to my father. I'm tired. So they're not doing anything. And so finally, I think like after the second or third day where I'm refusing their pills, I only took the sleeping pills, because I'm like, yes, please let me sleep, because I don't sleep well. Part because I'm a watchman, and part insomnia. So the guy goes, well, what can we do? What can we do for you? I need to talk to someone. I need someone to talk to. Stop trying to push your pills on me. Like, I don't want them. So they're like, oh, okay, you know, we can bring someone in and talk to you. Great, thank you. So he talks to me, and the greatest question he could ask, he said, did you do what you did to end your life, or did you do what you did to get rid of how you were feeling? Because you didn't want to feel that way. And I said, because I didn't want to feel that way. Like, I have children, I have granddaughters. Like, I love my babies. All my babies, like, I want to be here for them, even though, you know, some of them don't want to talk to me right now. But I love my children and my grandchildren. Like, yeah, I definitely want to be here for them. But no, I don't want to feel like that. I didn't want to feel like that. And he said, well, that's a lot different than wanting to end your life. And I was like, oh, okay. And he said, and being tired, because people that are just tired, they don't want to end their lives. And I was like, okay. He said, so tired can look like depression. I said, oh, okay. So he said, will you take some pills? Okay. And I did that, being led by my father as well. I didn't know. I didn't know I had fell into depression. I knew I was tired. I know I was lonely. I know this walk is hard. I know God didn't create us to do this walk by ourselves, but I didn't have anyone, because, you know, the other stuff God has been calling me to do, because my calling is greater and different than some people around me. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, you know, my calling's greater than yours. No, it's just my assignments carry a lot of weight, and I have to be prepared to carry all that weight. And so I didn't know I had slipped into depression. And so anyway, I get let out. My friend takes me, you know, to get my stuff, all this stuff. And then one day, I think the day of or the day after, my oldest daughter called, and I let her know. Well, I let my mom know. And then, because she was like, can you please just tell me you're okay? And so I text my cousin first, because he texted me some pictures. I don't think he knew what happened. So I sent him a text, and it's a really long text. And I don't even think he read all the text, because it was one of those texts you had to open up to finish reading. So I think he just read the part like, I just got out of the hospital or whatever. And he's just like, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. And then that's all he said. I was like, I don't think he read it. So I used that same text, because I didn't feel like talking to anyone. I used that same text to send to my mom, to let her know, you know, I was fine and what happened, and why no one had heard from me for almost a week. It was 6 days or a week. And then 6 days. Well, I was in there 6 days, but no one heard from me, I think, till a week or 8 days later. So then my daughter ends up calling me, and I talked to her, and she's like, you know, basically what's going on. Like, she didn't know anything, and I send her the text, and then she, you know, she reads it while I'm on the phone. Because she goes, I was like, I'm gonna send you the text and you just call me back when you're done reading it. And she's like, well, no, why can't you just stay on the phone? And I was just like, because I don't want to hear you yell at me. I don't feel like being yelled at. And she was like, by who? Me? Yeah, you. And so she reads the text when I'm on the phone, and then she goes in her little sweet voice. This is my oldest daughter. She goes, you try to kill yourself? I'm like, I'm tired. And that's all I could keep saying is like, you know, because I don't feel depressed. I just feel tired. So, I shouldn't even done my makeup today doing this freaking video. So then, so we talk or whatever, and she's, you know, we talk almost the whole day. Like, she's texting, I'm texting, she's talking, and I'm just like, oh, my baby, I missed her so much. But then the next day, I think their dad texted me, or no, I was led to apologize to his ex-girlfriend, but I still didn't know at the time that they were broken up. I was led to apologize to her, so I reached out to her on Facebook, and I was led to apologize to my ex-husband. So I text him, and I reached out to her on Facebook. Dang, that's like, ugh, the freaking makeup. Let me get some tissue. Okay, so I reached out to my ex-husband, reached out to her. I don't think she ever saw it. And my ex-husband, he texted me back like, you know, we need to talk. And I was just like, I don't feel like talking. So I sent him the text too, like, here you go. This is where I've been. I did not abandon my children. I haven't been able to contact anyone. They take my phones, and like I said before, contact who and for what? What am I gonna contact people for? Like, nobody wants to see or speak to me, like, for what? So, and my daughter would say, oh, you know, you're a narcissist. And she has called me a narcissist. I'm like, you don't know what a narcissist is. And it's not like, because she looks at it like, well, you kick people out of your life and you don't want to talk to people. Now that you want to talk to people, it wasn't that. I consecrated. I had to consecrate. I had to isolate. I had to let go of certain things, certain people, certain relationships and stuff. Because God said to. And sometimes I understood and sometimes I didn't. But I'm not going to not do it because I don't understand it. We're called to be obedient, not to understand everything. We can't understand everything. He's God. So he read it, and he was basically just kind of like, you know, you try to kill yourself. And he was like, I knew something wasn't right. And he's like, you know, you're gonna be okay. And I didn't really respond to him. I was just like, yeah, blah. Or I told him, oh, he's like, because your job reached out, you know, they wondering where you are, you haven't went to work, they're concerned. And I said, oh yeah, I put you down as an emergency contact. When I get back, I'm gonna change that. And he was like, no, don't. So then my daughter was like, I don't know if they ended up talking, and he was like, you know, she lied to me after I found out you were there. I asked her, was there anything I needed to worry about? She said no. And he's like, you know, you trying to commit suicide and be in the hospital, like, that's not something to worry about. So then they end up getting upset with each other. She's like, he plays both sides, he's a liar. And then she stopped talking to me too, because I sent her our text messages, because I didn't want her to think I was trying to hide anything from her. But she was like, are you guys gonna get back together? You might as well just get back together. Like, why do you guys keep playing these games and holding on to each other? And I'm like, dude, I sent you all the text messages so you could see, like, you know, so you could see I'm not trying to hide anything from you. So then, anyway, later on that night, because I was like, God, you know, I may be able to stay here. No, I was able to stay one more night. I booked the room for one more night. And I was just like, God, after this, you know, where am I going to go? Because, you know, my funds, they're dwindling. I don't have it. So later on that evening, he was like, you know, baby girl's been asking for you. I can bring her on such and such and pick her up such and such, or do you want to spend time with her? And I'm like, yeah, I do, but I only have this room one more night, so you can bring her tonight if you can, and then I'll try and get her back to you. I'll try and see if I can rent a car and get her back to you. But Toro, they after that they didn't mess with me no more. But I didn't know that fully at that time. So he brings her. Before he brings her, he texts, can we talk? And I was just like, yeah, it's fine. Because God, or else I wanted to talk, because I feel like talking, but God wanted me to talk. So it reminded me, because I had a dream about this. I think that's in one of my pictures. If not, then I think it's in one of my pictures. I emailed it to myself. One of the girls at the shelter, she is a prophet, and she told me, I had a dream, you were supposed to die, but you were helping us plan your funeral. And I was like, what? She's like, but it was a beautiful funeral. I'm like, I'm sure it was, because your girl, I can do some events. And she's like, and then your ex-husband, he ended up getting up and giving like a really nice speech. Like he said some really nice things. And she said, and God showed me, like, you see, he's not a bad guy. He's just a cheater. And I was like, well, ain't that the truth? And so she told me this dream, like probably a month or two before that happened. So when that happened, I was like, that's her dream. That explains, I was supposed to die, but I was helping them plan my funeral. So me doing what I did, that was part of the planning. That was the planning, and I was supposed to die, but I didn't, by the grace of God. So when this stuff happened, I was just like, oh my God. But I had a dream way before this too. I saw there was some cigarettes or a blunt or something, this ashtray where I was staying. It looked like the shelter, but it wasn't the shelter. And it looked like apartments, but it wasn't. It was actually the hotel I was at. That morning, that my ex-husband ended up, we ended up talking, and he ended up bringing my daughter. Their ashtray thing caught on fire because someone, I guess, left a lit cigarette or something in there. And in my dream, it was lit. And when that happened, I was just kind of like, wait, what? And then the time we were there before, they ended up giving us this huge room, a room we've never been in before. Usually I get VIP and stuff because they know me here. But they ended up giving us this huge room on the first floor too. And I'm like, God, I don't like the first floor. Like, I like being high up. I like seeing the sky. And it was facing the other hotel too. So I'm just like, and I don't want to see the hotel. I want to see the sky. Like, I don't want to see nobody else. But we were supposed to be in that room because my daughter was like, get a room with 2 beds. And I was just like, okay, fine. So I tried to get a room with 2 beds, but I forgot what was wrong with that room. And I was just like, we're not supposed to be in this room. Let's go back and switch rooms. And they put us right back in the room that they initially said they were going to put us in. And that room was huge. And it was right next to the hotel kitchen, which is another part of my dream where I dreamed about a whole bunch of women, mainly black women, being in a kitchen. And I didn't know how to take that in my dream at first. I was just like, what are all these heifers doing in my kitchen? But that represented the part, our room was right next to the kitchen. And that weekend that me and my daughter were there was a group of black people. I think they were there for one of the kids' games or something like that. And they were in the kitchen area getting their breakfast. And I'm just looking around like, but the other part of that dream didn't happen until my ex-husband came to bring our daughter. So the dreams be broken up sometimes in case you guys are coming into your gifts or you don't know that. God will give you one dream, and there could be several different occasions that add all up to that one dream. Not everything in that dream is necessarily going to happen in one event. It could be several events and combined to total up to that dream. So he comes and he brings my son. He told me, I told him he deserved to know. And when I told him, he wanted to come. And I was just like, okay. So, me and my son talked. My son, expressed himself. I expressed myself. I apologized. He apologized. And that's when I found out that I actually did hit him. My daughter was on the phone the whole time, just as happy and giddy as it could be. It stormed so bad that night. Rain pouring. This wasn't a bad rain though, but it was pouring and thundering, and I was just like, this is so crazy. So he said he had to talk to me, but then he was like, I'm gonna talk to you later in private. And I was just okay. But we get into this whole, so we're talking about, the stuff he told, his ex-girlfriend and stuff. And my son's like, Mom, I honestly don't know why I told her any of that. But, I apologized. And I told him, you remember the dream I had. I knew that wasn't an attack. But at the time, like, I was just so hurt. I wasn't even thinking about that. God already let me know it wasn't an attack. I was just like, you hurt me. I don't care. So we end up talking more. And he's telling me and my ex-husband stuff. And we're just kind of looking at each other like, she talks to you about what? She told you what? She jokes with you about what? And I'm looking at him like, this your girl. And I told you, I warned you about her, and I didn't want our kids around her. But you're like, oh, you know her. Da, da. You haven't been with this chick in probably 10 years. People change. You're not the same you were 10 years ago. I'm not the same I was 10 years ago. Like, so I'm just looking at him like, you're gonna have to fix this. You're gonna have to fix it. So, he's looking at me like, basically, rest assured, I'm gonna fix it. Yeah. So we end up going outside, and then here's the part of the girl's dream at the shelter where he gave this great, really nice speech. That whole night, starting from the hotel, coming back to his house, because that's when he offered me, like, what do you need? So he talks about me about all this stuff like, people need you. I need you. People don't want to admit that they need you, but they need you. And yeah, we think you're crazy and da-da-da-da, but that doesn't, like, we need you. And he's like, and it's not just because I have kids with you or because you're my ex-wife, not because you're my baby mama. Like, I need you. We need you. Crisaria is not messing with you right now, but she needs you. Like, your family needs you. The kids need you. And I knew something was wrong, and you were laying in a ditch. I was like, I wasn't laying in a ditch. You could have been laying in a ditch. And then I'm calling all around, and everyone's like, she's fine. And, Crisaria's like, she's doing it for attention. First of all, if I'm doing anything for attention, why don't you think I post more than I do? I post when God tells me to. There might be maybe 1 or 2 posts that I've posted since I've been walking that have not been like, completely God-led, or God didn't say, oh, post this. But pretty much everything I post is God-led. Do you know how many pictures and videos I have of this walk, of me, of my kids, that I could have been posted? I'm not looking for y'all attention. I could have been posted stuff to get you guys attention if that's what I was really looking for. But I don't need it. I want your love, but I don't need it. I have my Father. Yeah, so I was just like, now the Osheries, yeah, I probably would have did all that for attention. I did a video about me doing a fake suicide attempt because I was just like, oh, not for attention, but basically like, you need to get your act together. And if this gonna help you push you along to get your act together, then I'll do what I gotta do. And now I know why God had me post that video. Well, he knew this was gonna happen. Anyway, and I believe he needed my ex-husband to know, like, that didn't happen. That happened. That was faked, planned for you, but it wouldn't have been carried out because I didn't really try to kill myself. I didn't take enough pills to kill myself. I took enough to maybe go to sleep for several hours, but nothing dangerous at all. And this one wasn't for my ex-husband. It was just tired. So he's telling me all this stuff, and he's just like, I'm here to offer my support. I want to be your support system. What do I need to do to be your support? What do you need? And I was just like, I need help. Help how? What do you I need help. Like, I need somewhere to stay. I'm tired of being in shelter. I'm tired of being in the car. I'm tired of going back and forth between this person's house, that person's house. Like, though all that stuff was aligned and arranged by the Father. That was part of my testing. That was part of my process. And even for my kids, because they have callings on their life. So I was just like, I need help. Like, I need somewhere to stay. I need somewhere to rest. I need support. And I told him, do you really think you can be a support for me? Because, like, I know you. Like, I don't know if you could be a support for me, but if you want to try, then I'm willing to take the chance. So he, we go back up to the room, and he's like, get your stuff packed. And so we're about to leave the room, and he goes, let's get you out of here. And that's not exactly that. That's basically along the lines of what he said in my dream. Was basically, let's get you out of here. So when that happened, I was just like, there that goes. Anyway, we get back here. We address some things with his ex-girlfriend. I'm already knowing she's pissed I'm coming. He told me, like, I told her you coming, and I told her don't say nothing. I don't care what she has to say. You gonna be here as long as you need to be. And then that's when I find out, like, they're not even together anymore. And I'm just like, oh, what? Okay, whatever. So we're talking, and to be honest, we did kind of team up on her. God sent me right back to apologize to her the next day because I was only supposed to address the stuff that went on with my son. The stuff she was telling him, the stuff she was joking with him about. I'm just like, that is and was completely inappropriate, and I would appreciate you not talk to my kids at all. Like that, like you were very out of line for talking to my son about these things and telling him these things. And then their dad, agreed with it, whatever. But we did kind of gang up on her a little bit. And so that night, ended well for me and him. We were cool. But it didn't end well for her. She was pissed. And I could have alleviated some of that if I would have only spoke on what I was supposed to speak on. But I did come here a little bit in the flesh and ready to kick some demons' butts too. So that happened. And then the days are just going by or whatever. So I'm gonna try and get the gist of the part of me staying here wrapped up. Not wrapped up, but like try to just cram it in. So there's been plenty of different times where God has called me to expose my ex-husband or has shown me stuff about her. And with my ex-husband, finding out he was a narcissist and stuff, that happened here. Finding out that he's still doing the same thing. Like, we basically got to witness his actions that probably we wouldn't have been able to witness if I wasn't here and if she wasn't here. And so it was, it was disrespectful. It was disrespectful to her. It was disrespectful to me. And me and her got in our feelings over, plenty of stuff when it came to him. Even though we're both not with him. And so God had to show me several things about myself, when it comes to him, when it comes to me, when it comes to not even just her, but just other women in general. So I've been learning a lot of lessons here. Not all of them are pretty at all. I will do another video on that if he calls me to. I saw a lot of stuff about my ex-husband. There was one dream I had where I had it, and he didn't leave me to say anything until like a couple days later. He let me to tell her about my dream, and I was just like, okay. So I told her, hey, this is when we started, getting cool. Like, they drank and they played domino, my son and him played dominoes, and they all played Uno. And I cooked. That's the night that he crapped all over what I cooked, saying like, oh yeah, you lost a lot. You lost your touch. So, and that's because God will call me to be this way and this way. It doesn't matter. Whatever he says, that's what I do. Is it always easy? No, not at all. But he called me to befriend her. So that's what I did. And then there's times that he called me and pulled me away, like, okay, don't talk to either one of them. I'm just like, okay, all right, like ping pong, like that. So I tell her the dream, and she's just kind of like, yeah, I've been feeling that, and I think it's somebody at his job because the way he goes to work now, and now he says he has earlier hours, but, you know, she's just giving me all this different stuff that she's peep game on, and I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, I know. And as I was about to walk out, then I tell her the dream setting, like where my ex-husband and this other lady was. And in the dream, her name was Diane, and I think she was like white or Hispanic or something. And so when we end up talking to him about it, he's like, she's not white and her name's not Diane. But when I told his ex-girlfriend the dream, I told her when I woke up from the dream, all I thought was dirty Diana. Oh, and so she started giggling, and then she goes, "That's funny, even especially if you know knowing the story behind it." And I was just like, "What story behind it?" So she tells me, you know, Diana Ross and Michael Jackson did it. So since he said she wasn't white and then her name wasn't Diane, I'm assuming that she was older than my ex-husband, and in the dream she looked a bit older than my ex-husband. But the way he was laying on her arm in the dream with his face towards her back, and they were at a bar, she was like, I got goosebumps. And I'm just like, what? She's like, the weekend of his birthday, after you guys got back from Florida, the weekend of his birthday, he went out to the bar. And I was just like, and he came home and took his shirt off, and I go look at his shirt and it has a little makeup on the back. And I said, so how his face was on her face was on him like that. And then she told him, you got makeup all over your wife beater. And she said his eyes just got really big. She's like, he didn't even know he had makeup all over his shirt. And I was just like, she's like, I thought it was you, so I didn't even say anything. And I was like, yeah, no, that wasn't me. First of all, we were still at the shelter, and the shelter has a curfew. You have to be in by 9, and I can't leave my kids alone at the shelter. So unless they're with him, I can't go anywhere. So then she was just like, oh my God, like, yeah, he was at the bar. I thought it was you. I was like, no, not me. So this is another, God is exposing my ex-husband. So we talked to him about it, and I'm like, shoot, you want to invite her to Jace's birthday party? Like, we could all just, is she the next one? Do we need to meet her, invite her to the crew? Like, because I'm just over it. I'm just like, I'm so over this. Like, you got the same place since the Pinks, which were the apartments I met him in. I'm just like, same place, same run. Like, okay, do we need to invite her in? Is she permanent, temporary? Like, what's the deal? And she's not my girlfriend. So there's another time before the Father's Day weekend, God basically let me know, bear it all. Bear what? Bear it all. So, I had a dream that he cleaned up his kitchen and stuff really good. Even I offered when I first got here, and he's like, no, just leave that alone for now. And I'm just like, okay, even though I really wanted to clean it. But Father's Day weekend, God used that dream to let me know, because I was thinking, okay, well, when's he gonna clean? And then when the time came and God let me know, I was supposed to, what? Fine, whatever. Use my last bit of coins to get him Father's Day gifts. My son got him one thing, and then I got him another thing that he's been wanting. And, I cooked, or my son cooked pancakes Father's Day morning. I cooked something the day before Father's Day, and then Friday was the gift of his house being completely clean and organized. And I got him a case of Blue Moon beer, which he likes, but it's more expensive, so he doesn't buy it that often. Sliced his oranges up and everything, like, have at it. But the whole time we're cleaning, because she straightened up the room, and my son cleaned the bathroom, and I did the kitchen and living room. So he's on call that weekend. He was on call that week, and then the weekend came Friday. And I know his on-call routine. She knows his on-call routine. So the way he got up out of here on Friday and certain things, I'm just like, okay. And she was too, but we didn't know we were both thinking the same thing. And so I'm praying as I'm cleaning the kitchen stuff, and I'm like, just let me know. Do you have me here cleaning this man's house while he's out with another female? Like, is he out with Diane? Just let me know. Like, I'm gonna continue to clean. I'm gonna give him his gift. I'm gonna cook. I'm gonna do all that. But just let me know. I need to know what I'm working with. You know what I mean? And my the playlist that I have playing, this song hardly never comes up on my playlist. So after I'm praying to God, asking him, like, you just need to let me know. I'm gonna keep doing what you told me to do. Just let me know. Janet comes on. Funny how time flies when you're having fun. So, oh, this nigga. Okay, all right. So she ends up coming in. Oh no, I go into her because God's been he's giving me stuff throughout, me cleaning up and stuff. And I was like, are you saying what I think you're saying? You don't have to believe this part is God. If you don't want to, that's fine. I know how and when my Father speaks to me. And I make sure I get confirmations, especially when it's something questionable like this. But yeah, you can, for those of you that it's like, that wasn't God. Okay. All right. That's what, I respect your opinion. So he talks to me through emails and texts and all this other stuff too. So one of the emails is like, get ready to laugh. Post it, get ready to laugh all night, or are you ready to laugh all night, or something like that. And this is one of the confirmations he used to let me know. I was like, are you saying I could drink? Because, I will. Like, being here, there's been plenty, even being homeless in Georgia, in the car, in the shelters. Like, I don't want to drink none of those times. I mean, I look like, it would be nice, to have a glass or something, but nothing like tempting, like, God, I need. Being here, y'all pray for me. I mean, I'm good now because God had to really get on me because I started to, he told me I can drink here 2 times. I'll talk about both. He never told me I could smoke cigarettes. I took that upon myself. And even when he did tell me to drink, he told me to be wise. I wasn't wise either times. I wasn't wise, but he knew that he was going to use it. Not saying he's like, oh yeah, go ahead, but he used it. So I come in the room as she's cleaning the baseboards and stuff. And I said, I think I'm gonna go get something to drink. And she's like, what? Because she knows. You're gonna do what? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go get something to drink. Because she had buzz balls. And I was like, I used to drink those. But she had the blue ones. I didn't drink the blue ones. I drank the ones that look like coffee. So we go get some buzz balls. And, he has a door camera, ring camera, whatever. I don't know if he knew then we went to go get something to drink. I'm not sure. But, we're drinking and I'm starting to get tipsy, And she goes, and I was like, I don't know if she said she wanted a cigarette or I did. Either way, like I want to smoke when I'm drinking. Anytime I'm drinking, I want to smoke regardless. So I don't know why I didn't think about that before I drank. So he left a pack of cigarettes here unopened. Because if they were open, I would have took some, but they weren't open. So she was like, oh, because we come to the same conclusion. You heard him talking, you hear how this is. So I told her, this is a song that played for me after I was asking God, is this what's going on? So she's like, so you and yeah. So he's with old girl while we're cleaning his house and stuff. But like I told God, I'm gonna do it because you told me to, and you already knew what he was gonna do. But for whatever reason, you still told me to clean his house and to give him, a good Father's Day weekend. Okay, whatever. So she texts him to piss him off. And that's basically what she said. Like, I'm asking for some cigarettes, whatever, because she doesn't smoke either. So then he starts flipping out, and so I think he ends up finding out on the phone that I had been drinking. So he kind of goes like super crazy. So he gets back here. Oh no. So we leave because he told us we couldn't get cigarettes. So I was like, I'm gonna go walk and get some. She was like, okay, I'm gonna come. Okay, let's go. So we walk and he has a Ring camera. So he's just, messaging her because I'm in La La Land, not paying attention to nothing. enjoying my buzz that I haven't had in 3 years. So we walked to 7-Eleven. He's like, you know, what's going on? Where are you going? And I was just like, oh no, I think I told him, gonna walk and go get some cigarettes, or gonna go get some cigarettes. Don't worry, didn't take your car. Your car's here. It's fine. So we walk and he's texting her son. So we, or was he here? Was he here by the time we walk? I don't fully remember. All I know is when we come out of 7-Eleven, that dude's right there at the end of the parking lot staring at us. And I'm just like, I did feel like a little girl. I was just like, whoa, he's here. And I was like, and she's like, I'm just kind of like, so, you know, she gets in the front and I get in the back and I'm looking out the window. Don't say nothing to me. Just leave me alone. And so we're sitting there for a minute and I'm just like, dude, is he just... So I turn and he's just staring back at me. He's staring back at me like, I'll say, you drinking now? We drinking now? And I just start laughing because I'm just like, dude, like, don't talk to me right now. I'm not going to take anything you say seriously. Like, just drive back to the house so I can smoke these cigarettes and finish drinking. So me and her giggling, ha he he kaka and kiki, and he's just looking like y'all, you know, like. But before, oh, thank you, Holy Spirit, before he got here, when we were outside drinking and stuff, I don't know if he had cigarettes in. I don't remember, back to back. But she tells me, we're talking about, because I told her, like, I don't know you. Like, you say I know you, but I don't know you. I knew of you. I knew dudes used to talk about you, like, Bernice, you know, Bernice is bad, you know. But I don't know you. She's like, you know, we went to Alta. You went to Alta? I didn't know she went to school with me. And then she was talking about how I used to wear my hair and stuff. And I'm like, oh. And she's like, you know, the swoop. Everybody knows back in the day, stay with a swoop because of my forehead. Stay with a swoop. And she said that in front of him when he did get here. And he got irritated that, like, basically, she talking about, I don't know about the swoop. I don't know about the swoop. I'm like, oh, God, okay, all right. But she told me before he got here that she had a crush on me in high school. And I was like, and she told me she didn't want to tell me that at first because I could hurt her or use it against her or something. I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, she's like, I feel like you would play with my heart. And I'm thinking in my head, I don't even go that way no more. I mean, sometimes I've been attracted to females still. Like, usually I'm attracted to studs. And even the girly girls I have messed with or whatever, like I'm not attracted to her, period. So when she told me that, I was just kind of like, you know, I kind of shrunk. I was drinking, but I also shrunk because then I felt like in an uncomfortable situation again. I've been in plenty of these and I thought I was good. But I was just kind of like, oh, you know, okay, good to know. And so we keep talking and, you know, and all this other stuff. So when he gets back, you know, we're still talking outside and he's, you know, out there smoking, basically trying to kill us with his glare. And so she's nudging me upside my head or she's grabbing my face and stuff. And he's like, she goes back in the house to go pee. And he's like, and you just letting her, what are you letting her grab your face for and nudge you in your head? Like, that's not you anymore. But, and I knew how he meant it. He was upset. He was jealous. But he also meant it like, Sharice, you don't, like, you're not that girl anymore. You're not that woman anymore. That kind of like shrinks and gets timid, you know, when you're touched or when you feel uncomfortable and stuff. And I was just like, you're right, I'm not. He's like, tell her to stop. I was like, okay, you know, I will. And so she comes back out and, you know, and he basically, he said something to where she's like, oh, I just kind of looked away, like, you know. And I kind of looked at her because she was sitting on the side of me. Just kind of looked at her like, yeah. And she was like, you could tell him. I was like, you want me to tell him? And he's like, tell me what? And so I'm like, you know, she used to have a crush on me in high school. So his whole face changed. And he looks at her, he's like, so you want to F my baby mama? And I'm like, oh, Lord God, just help. Get me out of here. Like, somebody come help me, please. And so then they start going back and forth and stuff. And I'm just like, I'm just going to keep drinking and smoking. I don't want no parts of this. I can't do this right now. I can't. Even talking about this, I'm going to be completely honest. I want a cigarette and a drink right now. Like, this is a lot. Like, this is just... Oh, anyway, Jesus, please help me. So that night happened. She gets, I guess, too buzzed and she goes to sleep early. Me and him stay outside till early morning, talking about stuff. He's reminiscing. I'm just like, all right. And, you know, we're just talking and whatever. And, I show him, you know, something on my leg that, you know, I had to pull my pants down for because I got these scratches. I don't know if I'm going to post it or not, but just in case I do. I got these like welt looking marks on my leg. And I'm like, what is this? And they started like itching and stinging. I'm like, what is this? And I showed him, he's like, is it the detergent or something? I've been using that detergent. No. And I was like, but you see it. Like, I need you to see this. Because I knew what it was, but I was just like, you see? So we're still talking and all this stuff, and he stands up and I hug him, and, you know, I thank him again for, you know, letting me come and stuff. And we hug for a minute, and then he grabs my butt. But I was buzzed, and, you know, I didn't say nothing. And so when he realized I didn't say anything, he even made a noise like, oh, like, you're not going to tell me to stop? You didn't say? So he squeezed my butt again. And I didn't say anything. And I slowly moved my face as, you know, we're going to stop hugging. But I kissed him. And we kissed. And, you know, things didn't go all the way, but they definitely went further than they should. And it was, you know, ha ha he he at the time, and just kind of like, you know, dang, I did miss him, da da da. And there's a few things that he said that I was just kind of like, who do you think I am? Like, you not no sister wives type stuff going on here. Like, you tripping? So he was basically like, you know, come in the bed. I was like, no. He's like, man, she's knocked out. She's not even know you there. I am not. He's like, man, with her freaky ASS, she probably wake up and, you know, and I'm like, is that what you want? Like, that's not gonna happen. So she wakes up and, you know, we basically kind of act like, you know, hey, good morning. So I end up staying up even later. He knocks out and I stay up with her, and then we're talking just about her childhood and, you know, how, you know, her liking girls, because I didn't know that. And when did she start to like boys? And she said he was the first boy she liked and all this other stuff. And she said it was just an attraction and an admiration for women. It was nothing like, you know, physical or whatever. And I was just like, okay. But as I'm talking to her the whole time, me and him are pounding in my head, and I'm like, you are so dirty. Like, yeah, they're not together, but you're just dirty. That was dirty. That was dirty. So next day I told him, cause he woke up like messing with me and stuff. And even my daughter was like trying to tell her, like, Daddy, cause he might mess with my nose or something. And my daughter was trying to tell her what he did, which if she understood my daughter, she kind of would have, I know she would have been like, why is he doing that? So I just say, oh, he I think he gave me medicine or whatever right after that. And I told her, like, you know, oh, he just gave me medicine or whatever. But she kind of looked back like, what's going on here? And she even asked, I think that morning or later that day, did something happen? No. Oh, I didn't answer. I was just like, what? Anyway, so I told him later on that day, because we ended up going to the store, and I'm just like, that can't happen ever again. Like, I felt like ish talking to her like that. No, that was wrong. That was wrong. And I was just like, yeah, that's never gonna happen again. So that was the first incident of me drinking. If you didn't hear all the ways that God worked through all that, like I said, he showed me myself, he showed me and her him, like you were on a date. Well, you know, yeah, okay. She told me she liked me in high school, like a lot of things were exposed. A whole lot of things were exposed. And then, so the next thing is, I guess we can bring up the next time I drank, maybe? Is that the next thing we're going to talk about? Things are still just getting exposed left and right. Little ways, different ways, whatever. So we'll skip on to the next time that I drank. That was allowed. Was it Father's Day then? Okay, so no, the first time, that wasn't Father's Day. The first time me and her drank, that wasn't Father's Day weekend. I forgot when that was, but that was before Father's Day weekend. So the story I just told, that was Father's Day weekend, minus the me kissing him and stuff. That didn't happen Father's Day weekend. That happened the very first time that I drank. And that happened before Father's Day weekend. The second time I drank was Father's Day weekend, and I went to go get some drinks and cigarettes, and he was super upset, and I got five buzz balls. 2 buzz balls will get you good. I got 5, and I drank all 5. And then I went back to the store to get 2 more. He poured those out though, and to get some cigarettes or get more cigarettes. And so he's upset. You know, he's like, I talked to our son, told him that, you know, that was just, happenstance, and, to give her a break, she's, it's been, she's tired, she's been through a lot, whatever. So, he was upset at me for that, and he's blaming her, like, he either blamed her the first time, or I think it was the first time or the second time, he blamed her for me drinking. I'm just like, she's not the reason I'm drinking, fool. You're the reason I'm drinking. I don't want to be here. Like, I hate it here. I want to leave. But that wasn't God's will. So I drank Father's Day. Was it no, I think. Okay, so sorry, it was Father's Day weekend. It was the Friday of Father's Day weekend, and then the second time I drank was Sunday on Father's Day. On Father's Day, I drank, and I get drunk how I used to get drunk. And that same day, because I didn't have money to buy anything. I didn't have money. So God led me this time too. And I was like, you're letting me drink again? You're for real letting me drink again? And the emails and stuff I would get, some of them saying, aren't you tired of performing or something like that? And I'm like, what are you talking about performing? I'm not performing. I speak my mind. I tell the truth. I say what if you allow me to say stuff, I say stuff. Like, what do you mean performing? And so I guess I was performing because, you get some drink in you, get that liquid courage, or you start being really, really honest. So I get drunk, and she basically has to tell me everything that happened that night. They had to give me a shower. I threw up in the shower. She told him to keep my bra and panties on, out of respect. And she said, he asked, like, are you uncomfortable, seeing her? And she's like, no, but if it was me, I would, I wouldn't want some female just, seeing all my business. And I was just like, thank you. But, they had to get me dressed. I slept with my son that night. My son slept with me that night. He stayed home with me the next day. He tried to have sex with me the next day. And I was like, no, we're telling her this and we're telling her that. We're telling her what I did the first night I got drunk, and we're telling her what you just try to do right now. Like, I take all my depression pills this second time I get drunk, thinking I took my sleeping pills. And I told God, I'm coming. Like, when I tell you I'm tired, I'm tired. So that time, I guess, the buildup of dealing with him over the years and knowing that he hasn't changed. And so she said, I called him some things, I said some things, and he got mad that I didn't apologize. And I apologized because I hit him. That's another reason why I stopped drinking. Like, I have no right to put my hands on nobody. I don't think I hit him hard, but she told me, she said, you were like, you want to fight? Because we can fight. You want to fight? And she said I hit him like 2 or 3 times, and he was looking at her like, come get her. And she said she grabbed me and, held my arms behind my back, and she was like, and I do remember this part. She was like, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. And I just started crying. And so I turned around, and I'm holding her, crying on her, and she's just, consoling me or whatever. But she said I said some things. I kept calling him a certain name that was in the dream when he came to get me from the hotel. I mentioned thinking this of him when I was hugging him in the hotel in that dream. But I actually started saying it in real life while I was drunk. I was calling him fat. And I said some other things, and she was like, that I'm not going to say on video, but she was like, yeah, you said a lot. I cried and begged my son to never be like him. She said, I told him, like, you've made females want to commit suicide. How do you feel about that? And she said, he asked me, like, who? And she said, I was like, well, Bernice is one. Oh, God. She's one. And he was like, okay, who else? And she said, I was like, is one not enough? Like, you need more people to rationalize the fact that you've made people want to kill themselves? Like, what? Okay. She just said I said and did a lot. And she said, and I let you because obviously that needed to come out. So when he sent me an email saying, aren't you tired of performing? He knew all that stuff she said I did, all that stuff she said I said, that was not about to come out of a sober Sharice. And not because of pride or anything, but just like, I didn't even know I was hurting like that, to be honest. I knew, I was still hurting stuff, but I know it was hurting like that. The stuff she said, I did and said, I was like, oh. And he knew I was not about to let none of that come out, being sober. None of it. And even being buzzed, that wouldn't have came out. Like, I don't remember that night. Why I took all of my depression pills. And I even texted my mom that night telling her I did. And I told her, I'm tired. Like, I don't want to be here. And she said, I kept saying, I don't want to be here. And so, like, he kept an eye on me that night. He checked on me in the morning. He stayed home with me the next day, to take care of me, whatever. He gave me a shower the next day. It was, like I said, a lot of stuff has been happening in this apartment. It's crazy. So I said I got some things off my chest that I wouldn't have gotten off had I not been intoxicated, extremely intoxicated. So that's another thing that happened. And now we're getting into, and these are just kind of the major ones. There's stuff in between, but these are the major ones. I will bring this up right now since it's coming to my mind. I had to tell him, because I asked him to go to Racetrack because I like Racetrack's ice better. And he's like, you could go right here, to 7-Eleven. And I'm like, no, they don't have the same ice. I want to go to Racetrack. And he's like, no. And I was just like, okay. And I wasn't going to press him. And I didn't say anything. And a couple of minutes later, he was just like, nah, go ahead, but don't be driving there and don't be taking long. And I looked at him and I was like, first of all, I wasn't going to press you. Second of all, if you said no and you meant it, mean it. Because I had been noticing he did that a lot with her. There was one time that he was walking around without his shoes on. We all wear shoes, well, except her. She wears her socks. And I'm just like, and you get in the bed with those socks. Socks collect dirt and hair and stuff. And I have a huge hair phobia, like just crazy hair phobia. And my sister said, like, I'm a sock racist or sock or anti-sock or whatever. I was like, I'm really not. It's just why I wear them on the bare floor. They collect stuff. It's gross. And then you put it in the bed, like, ugh. Anyway, he was walking around without his, his house shoes on or whatever. And she goes, I want to know why you walking around here without your shoes. And I was just kind of like, and this is me knowing that they're not together anymore. And it was just so like dominant and so like, give me an answer. And so like, I was just kind of, and I didn't say anything, but I was just like, oh my God. And he just kind of laughed and was like, you know what? No. But I was just like, what is this? What is going on? Because I know I used to have a mouth with him. And he used to have a mouth with me. But the way I hear him talking with her, I'm like, that may have been in the beginning of our relationship before we were married. But after we got married, like, no. And I may have talked to him crazy, but it wasn't how I heard her. And I'm just like, so God would show me, would illuminate stuff to me, like and I'm like, and I was asking God before he sent me these videos to confirm, and I sent those videos to my ex-husband, just to help build him up. Like, this isn't, first of all, this isn't manly. You don't even worry about godly men. This isn't manly, period, without God. And so I told him, even if it's with me, if you said no and you meant no, stick to it. And he was just like, okay, take your ASS to 7-Eleven. And I had to tell him, okay, good. But just because I'm telling you to stand on your word, to stand on something, don't talk to me like that. Like, you could have simply said, okay, no, Sharice, go to 7-Eleven. You can't go to Racetrack. Like, don't talk to me crazy. Stand on what you said, but don't talk to me crazy. So I had to address it again, because there's another time she said something, he said something, then he was like, you know what? I don't care. And I think this is when he's already dealing with his uncle dying. He didn't pass on yet, but he was dying. He was in critical condition. And he was like, I don't care. And it just came out, because I just got so irritated. And I was just like, stop doing that. And he looked at me, and she kind of looked at me, and I'm like, if you said what you said, mean it. Stand on it. Like, why you keep bowing down to her? Stop bowing down to people. And then so she's like, what do you mean, Sharice? I was like, you manipulate him. I was like, I haven't said anything, because God hasn't led me to, but I'm saying something now. You manipulate him. I know what he does. He's a narcissist. He's a manipulator too. But that doesn't mean you can manipulate him. Get away from him then. Like, you manipulate him. And I'm calling it out. She has a Jezebel spirit. Leviathan spirit. Leviathan spirit is a narcissist. Jezebel spirit. You'll have to look these up to see what the different spirits, like what they represent. Seduction, chaos, manipulation, dominant. This is Jezebel. Gossiping, spreading rumors, spreading lies, causing chaos, seducing, manipulating. Jezebel called herself a prophetess of called herself a prophetess, but she was a prophetess of Baal, which was not God in the Bible, and she was also a witch. Leviathan, which is narcissist, you can look up the definition for narcissist. That's Leviathan spirit. Ahab, because my ex-husband has Ahab spirit too, which is bowing down, which is Ahab did what Jezebel said. Ahab was married to Jezebel. She ran the show, and he would bow down to that. So my ex-husband got a few spirits. She got some spirits. She's a monitoring spirit. There was one time I was telling her part of my dream, because she asked me why I got Snickers ice cream, and I was like, because I had a dream I did. And she was like, no, she's like, why'd you get Snickers ice cream? You don't eat Snickers ice cream. But she said it so just like matter of fact, like she just knew. And I'm like, I've never put that in my videos, because I know she watches my videos. She's even talked about watching my videos. And I'm like, I don't believe I've mentioned my favorite ice cream or anything in any of my videos. Like, how do you know I don't eat Snickers ice cream? But I didn't say anything. And then I was like, I know, but it was in my dream, so I got it. And then she's like, that's all you had a dream about or whatever? And I was like, no, there's other stuff too. but I'm not telling you. And so she kind of just looked at me like offended. And she's like, Sharice, do you know that I get paid to interpret people's dreams? And I was like, that's great, but I let God interpret mine, and I don't speak on them until he tells me to. And she just looked kind of offended, and I already knew monitoring spirit. Like, I've been known she had a monitoring spirit, but like that was just more proof. So anyway, I had to stand up for him, and I've stood up for her too, because I'm like, stop bowing down to her. And I told her, you know, you manipulate him. I didn't call her a Jezebel spirit. I didn't say she's also a narcissist, but she is. So I'm under one roof with two narcissists. Jesus. And so, where was I going with that? Okay, so anyway, on to his uncle passing away and stuff. And he's calling us to the same thing, you know, so he can tell both of us at the same time. He's basically here trying to please both of us, as if he's dating both of us. And I'm like, you're not about to disrespect me. If you want to act like you're dating me, that's what it is. And if not, then don't act like it. And if you're saying not dating her, stand on your word. Like, dude, be a man about your word. So anyway, there'd be times where he would just be talking to me, like about his family and stuff. Like, I know more about him. I know more about his family. You can't get mad at that. You know what I mean? And so there'd be times where he didn't necessarily involve her. And there'd be times where I'm like, no, involve her. Cause I don't want to hear her mouth. Like, bring her in and then talk. Cause I don't want to hear it. And so, she would throw temper tantrums. And because there's one times I left here because he just kept messing with me. And I'm like, and this is before, you know, I drank or anything. And I'm like, and so I was like, I was trying to take out the trash. He's like, I got it. I was like, no, I got it. He's like, no, I got it. I was like, no, I got it. Please, like, let me take out the trash. I got it. And he's like, no, I got it. All right, well, I'm going for a walk because I can't be here right now. So I go for a walk, and this is after, you know, shortly after my hospital stay. So he goes out looking for me. I didn't know. She goes out looking for me, and my son's texting me, Mom, you should come back in. It's about to rain and stuff. And I was like, I can't right now. Like, I need to get out of that house. So I come back, and it's starting to sprinkle, whatever. And she's outside in the rain looking, and this, you know, sprinkling, looking for me. And he's like, you know, you can't just leave like that. People are worried, all this other stuff. And I'm like, I said I was going for a walk. Like, I literally said I was going for a walk before I walked out. And I was in my pajamas. Like, you know, like, I just couldn't be in here. Like, you're too much. Like, you're doing too much. You say you want to be my support. Why are you picking at me? So, while his uncle is in critical condition, he's processing the fact that he's most likely going to die, she would get upset if he was talking to me about stuff and she wasn't included. She would get upset about different things. And there's one time that she walked out, and we were outside, and he was drinking, and I was just out there with him, just, you know, hearing him out, consoling him, or just listening or whatever. Or there'll be times where we're both out there, and she's like rubbing on his head and stuff, and I'm just kind of looking like, he doesn't need that right now. He doesn't. So he's like, you know, I don't. And so he told her he didn't want that right now, or he didn't need that right now. And then she gets upset. And she's like, and you playing one way, like, in front of me and one way in front of her. He's like, why? Because I said I don't need that right now or whatever. And so she went inside or whatever, and she would get upset, like, you know, she's out here, but I'm inside. And he's like, well, then come out here. Like, nobody told you to go in the house, but like, I'm dealing with stuff right now. Why are you making this about you? So there's one time where she left, and he didn't even have his phone, so he didn't even see her leave on the Ring camera, and we weren't inside to see her leave. So I ended up leaving after, I guess, she had been gone for an hour. Neither of us knew she was gone. And so I leave to get him some cigarettes. And I think me something to drink. I think I went to get me something to drink. Maybe him some cigarettes. And so he texted me like, I didn't even know she was gone, or I didn't even know she left. And I was like, what? And he was like, she's not here. And I was like, are you sure? And she's not here. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go, you know, do you want to go look for her? And he's like, I'm not looking for nobody, because he's been drinking, and like I said, his you know, his uncle. And I was like, okay, well, you know, by the time I come back, if she's not there, then I'll go look for her. So I'm coming back, and he texts me like, you know, she's good. She texted me BS, so, you know, she's good. And I was just like, oh, okay. So I come in, and so finally she comes inside, and while my son is talking to him, he's in the bed talking to my son, and my son's outside the room. She comes in the door, immediately walks in the room, and you know, she doesn't completely shut the door, but she closes it, like she pushes the door behind her. And I was just kind of standing there like, my son was talking to him, and I was gonna go in there and open the door, kind of like, can you hold on and let my son finish talking to him first? Like, I don't care you're upset, like that's his dad, he's talking to his dad. But I didn't have to, because he starts yelling for me to come get her. So I come in the room, and then I did tell her, like, you know, because he's like, come get her, she did it, and she's like, you know, you leave for 3 seconds, and he's looking for you, or he's sending me to look for you. And I'm just like, first of all, I never left for his attention. I left because I needed to leave. You left because you wanted him to look for you. I don't need him to look for me. There's been times where I left, even with him, like the day before he left to go where he's at now. I didn't finish packing all his bags. I packed his suitcase, but I left because I was like, I need a break. Like, I need a break, because some stuff happened earlier that evening that I was just like, yeah, no. But I texted him, don't come looking for me. I'm fine. I'm not trying to put more stress on you, but I need some peace, and I need to get out of this house. So, but she did those certain things, seeing if he would respond or react the way he did me. And so, and he would tell her, like, you know, you didn't try to kill yourself, or you've been smoking and drinking. She hasn't drank in 3 years and smoked in 3 years. She was constantly comparing how he was with me to her, or comparing me and her. And so when he told her, you know, you didn't try to kill yourself or whatever, and she's like, I did, you know, but not to where you could see, or something like that. And I was just like, and so he flips out. Like, he had yelled at her a couple of times, but this time he flipped. And he goes in the closet, and he snatches all her stuff out of the closet, tosses them out the closet, gets her suitcase, gets her bags, tosses everything out, and it's like, is that what you want? Get the F out. I don't care where you go. I don't care if you have any place to go, because he gave her a certain amount of time to leave, and she said she'll be ready to leave by that time once she saved up the money. So, but he just tosses all her stuff out, and she looked at me like, and I know you just love watching this. And I'm just like, you did this. Like, he's grieving and mourning and preparing himself for his uncle to die, but you keep making it about you, and it's not the first time you did it. You've done it 2 or 3 times already. Don't look at me like I'm enjoying this. You did that. Like, there's a time, and I've learned that on my walk, because that probably would have been me years ago, being a dummy, wanting attention. But no, I've grown, and I'm like, there's a time and place, and you can still bring up your concerns and stuff, but not right now. You don't do that right now. So she ends up sleeping on the floor on her yoga mat that night. And he said, you know, I'm gonna get her an air bed. She's gonna sleep out there with y'all. And he said this a few times. And I didn't understand why I had such an issue with her still sleeping in the bed. I thought it was just me, like, you know, you guys are broken up, so why are you still sleeping in the bed? Or, you know, me being in my feelings. But it was so much more than that. And I say it was so much more than that because, and you guys cannot believe me on this either, it's fine. One night we were talking about stuff, and he was like, I'm ready to be honest. Y'all want honesty? Y'all say y'all want to hear me, and so I'm looking at him, I'm like, all right, good job. And I give him a high five. Okay, yeah, honesty, that'd be great. So he brought up a couple of things and he admitted, like, yeah, okay, and no, and, all this other stuff. And she brought up some things. I'm like, but we already discussed that. What are these other things that you keep saying you could have been told me, but because I guess you're trying to protect him or whatever, you didn't tell me? And he's like, yeah, say it. Like, I'm ready to talk, say it. So then I bring up the bed. And so I guess the bed was too much for him, because then he like, oh man, now see, I didn't know y'all made, no, you said you were ready to be honest. We're going to be honest. So I told him, if you don't want to be with her, and if you want her gone, and you're saying, all these things, and you're saying you don't, want to be with him and you want to leave, whatever, like, why can't you get her out of the bed? Well, she's slept in the bed since she's been here. Okay. What does that mean? And I asked him, what does that mean? I said, that's like me saying, I don't want to drink and smoke anymore, but I keep a bottle of Henny and a pack of cigarettes on the counter so I can walk by and look at it every day or something. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. And I told him, and I asked him, is it because, when you feel something at night, you feel like if she's sleeping out here, you can't get up and, and bring her back in the room because it'll be, bring too much attention, whatever. And he said, no, if that was the case, he could get up and bring her right back in the room if he wanted. And I was like, and she didn't say anything. And I was like, I mean, that's cool. Tap me on my shoulder, I'll roll over. But if y'all not together and he think he can just go snatch you up out your bed and bring you in his, who do you think you are? You got me messed up. So I was just like, okay, all right. And so he was just like, what's the big deal with you in the bed? Like, you keep talking about the bed. And so I explained myself. And then they say a couple more things. So then this is where they both get on me. And so she's asking me again. And then he asked me again. And I told him, I don't repeat myself. Y'all might repeat yourself, but I don't repeat myself. And I already explained myself, so I'm not repeating it. And after I said, y'all might repeat yourself, but I don't. He's like, I'm not a bird. Good, because neither am I. So then he goes, do you want to sleep in the bed? And I thought he was being funny. And then at first I was like, no. And then I was like, yeah, actually, yeah, I do. He's like, no, Cherise, now you being petty. No, I do. You even said the couch is going to start hurting my back. I do want to sleep in the bed. So she was like, I'm not getting out of the bed. And he's like looking at her like, ooh, did you pay for the bed? Like, if I tell you to get out the bed, you're going to get out the bed. And so she was like, I'm not sleeping in the living room with her kids and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, she can sleep, we can get an air bed and she can sleep. Or no, did I say air bed? I don't know. I don't remember. I either said couch or, I don't know. I said, Kazan will be fine or something like that. And it's funny because after I told Kazan this story, because I know he was puzzled when this night happened. So he's like, you was going to let her sleep with me on the couch? And JS, she has a little like cot bed or whatever. So she slept in the room with us that night. But I told him, okay, well, we can take turns. She can sleep in the bed one night and I'll sleep in the bed one night. And then he's like, that seems fair to me. And she's like, I'm not sleeping on the da-da-da-da. And then so I look at her and I'm like, why are you wondering why I'm asking about the bed? Why are you so upset that he's saying that I can sleep in the bed sometimes and you have to sleep on the couch? So as this stuff is going on, I'm knowing it's something. It's spiritual. So God's still leading me on, like to stand, like basically stand firm. You sleeping in the bed, and I had a message on my watch before I went to bed that night. Sleep well, and I'm like, oh, you for real? Like you like for real? Y'all can say it's not God, okay? So she didn't leave the room. She didn't leave the bed. She slept on her side. He said he wasn't sleeping in the middle, so I slept in the middle of both of them. And he slept on his side, and our daughter slept on her little cot thing next to the bed, next to us. And we all had our own blankets, and we went to sleep. And there was one time, or before he went to sleep, his back started hurting. His back started hurting. So I put my hands on his back and I start praying over him. And then he starts praying for himself. But as soon as he said his back was hurting, I was like, thinking in my head, I bet it is. I bet it is. So that was that. And God, you know, he made sure I knew, like, this ain't no hanky-panky, no funny business. But he made sure I slept in that bed that night. Because the bed it keeps a connection, especially with the stuff she does. That's why she's so territorial with bed. Because even the night he threw all her stuff out and said he would get her out of bed, she was right back up in the bed the next day, like happy in the bed. She didn't talk to me or him, but she was in that bed. And so that's another thing. And I'll probably do another video later more about, you know, exposing me, exposing her, exposing him, and what type of things got exposed. I just know God exposed all of us in this situation. Exposed my heart and thoughts to myself, and a little bit of me to them. Showed me her, called us to, I don't know if he called her to expose anything, but I was called to expose some things about him and tell her, and then me and her started talking about things which exposed him even more. Lord Jesus. Okay, so he leaves. I'm not talking to him. I've talked to him a few times since he's been gone, only when led by the Lord. Other than that, like, I don't have nothing to say, because I don't tolerate disrespect. No. And I don't play games. Unless the Lord calls me to do some strategic things, which may look like games to the worldly view, to the worldly eye. But our Father is very strategic. Very strategic. And so there are times where I've even felt like I'm playing games, but it's strategy against the enemy, not even against, like, you know, us per se, or to teach us a lesson, because he's had to do that with me. So anyway, he leaves. Me and her still aren't talking. I'm not talking to him. I take him to the airport. The next day, she sits on the floor all the time. She sits on her yoga mat on the floor right next to the bed all the time for hours. And I didn't say anything or think anything at first, and then she just kept doing it, because I've never seen her do yoga on the mat. And I even asked my son today, because he even told me, oh, she should be doing yoga. But I asked him today, have you ever seen her do yoga on her mat? And he was like, no. I said, you just assume she did yoga because it's a yoga mat? And he's like, yeah. I've never seen her do yoga. I've seen her lay on that mat, and I've seen her sit on that mat for hours. And one day I asked her, and I was like, why you just be sitting on the floor? Like, that don't hurt your back or your butt? And she's like, no, it actually makes my back feel better or something like that. She's like, my legs be falling asleep sometimes, but, you know, I'm comfortable. And I was just like, okay. Still didn't think nothing of it. Until the Father reminded me of a dream that I had. And that'll be, I'll post that too. But anyway, the next day, he calls me to, because I'm praying, I'm asking him, can I please leave here? Can I please leave here? Can you please make a way for me to leave? No, the night before my ex-husband left, I was praying, can I please leave? I need to leave. You need to get me out of here. I can't do this anymore. I'm about to lose my mind. Like, I can't do him. I can't do his games. I can't do her games. Like, I'm tired. Like, get me out of here now. And basically his answer was yes. And I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. And so he let me ask my sister. My sister's not really messing with me right now either, because she thinks I'm not walking right, and she thinks I'm not always hearing from God. I don't have time to argue with people about me actually hearing from God, or like, I don't. My mom even said something recently, and I just had to tell her, like, I love you, but please don't call her, text me right now. I can't do this right now. And then I sent her an example, because she was saying what I'm doing or what I'm about to do is not of God, it's the enemy, and it's ungodly and all this stuff. And I'm like, you blaspheme the Holy Spirit. And I gave her an example, and then I left it at that. So then, I'm thinking I'm leaving. God said this is my healing season. Ooh, hey, yes, thank God. And then, I think it's the next day or something, he lets me know, basically, I need you to befriend her. Open your heart back up to her, and ask your sister if she can stay too. What? You have got to be kidding me. Like, I know you're God Almighty, but you have lost it. You have lost your God big of the universe marvel. Like, you've lost it. You want me to do what? First of all, my sister doesn't even know her. Second of all, like, what? So I talked to her. I basically tell her the stuff God had been showing me and giving to me, telling her that, Jose is in judgment. Us leaving, it's gonna, because some people, to be brought to God, they gotta hit bottom. And this dude is very prideful and stubborn. So I was just like, with us leaving, I think that's one of the blows that God is going to use to punch him in the chest, and to, like, God needs him broken, because he's not going to go to God when he's not broken, unfortunately. And so she's just kind of like, really? Okay. All right. So we're talking, and we end up talking the whole night. Not the whole night, but we talk a good amount in the night. The night he left, she was on that mat, ripping up some papers too. I think she was on that mat for hours, door shut. And then the next day is when God led me to talk to her. And I don't think she had gotten on the mat at all that day, or she hadn't gotten on it yet when I talked to her. And so we talk about some stuff. I told her, I'm gonna ask I asked my sister, but this is where my sister's at right now, so I'm still waiting on her word. But if you're willing and ready, like, you're more than welcome to come once my sister gives her yes, that I'm thinking she's gonna give, because this is what you want, God. She didn't give a yes. She didn't give a yes. So I'm opening my heart. I'm showing her the love of Christ, even though she's still making little slick, sly, underhand comments and statements. And I'm just like, God, I'm really trying to show this chick love. I'm really trying to, like, love on this girl. Why is she still trying to mess with me? And he let me know, like, she's trying to provoke me. She's trying to bring me out of character. And I'm vexing her. And so I was just like, fine, whatever. And he told me, just keep doing what you're doing, basically. Don't respond. Don't, just leave it at that. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I'm still, like, I'm still loving on her. Okay. I'm still loving on her and whatnot. Just being a friend. God showed me a couple things, and I'm like, hey, God wants you to sing. Like, I've had a couple of dreams, and to be honest, I've never, like, fully heard you sing, but from this dream, if it's you, I think you can sing better than me. And in my dream, I got jealous. So I'm like, I think you can sing better than me. And he wanted her to sing, and he wanted me to post. Even the stuff I posted for 4th of July, he wanted that posted. Me picking her up and dropping her off at work, that was his will. Even for 4th of July, because we weren't going to go out till Saturday, because she had to work. And I'm like, I doubt you want to get dressed after work and go, so we can go Saturday. I pick her up Thursday night from work, and she's like, I got tomorrow off. I don't work. And I'm already smiling, like, okay. Because he already let me know he had a surprise. And that was it. I'm like, okay, you want us to go on the 4th. The 4th it is. And so, we're cool. We're sleeping in the same bed. My daughter actually was the one that was like, no, you sleep in daddy's bed, and Jay is, because she talks about herself in third person, and Jay is sleep on Jay's bed next to the bed. I'm just like, okay. So that's where I slept, and Jay slept where she slept. You know, she slept on her side, I slept on my ex-husband's side. We had our own blankets, and Jay slept on her bed. And I would take her to work in the morning, and it wasn't like the whole time he's been gone, but you know, a good portion of the time, and pick her up. And you know, she brought some food, some fast food, because you know, we're running out of groceries. And so it was cool. We'd watch movies together. We're laughing at the movies. She's, you know, spoken on, you know, a dream that I had, and I'm just like, oh wait, is that what that means? Which I didn't take back to God, and afterwards I was just like, oh my God, I didn't take that back to you to make sure she interpreted that right. I just kind of took it because she does know stuff. She be knowing stuff. So I'm not saying God doesn't talk to her, but I also know she uses divination. She one of the videos I saw, she accesses the spiritual realm illegally. Like, she doesn't wait for God to speak to her. She doesn't wait for God to give her stuff. She goes and looks for it. And she's told me stories about people that she knew went to talk to psychics and stuff. And she said she wasn't messing with it, but she even said she went in with one of her cousins before, and then instead of the psychic speaking about her cousin, she, I guess, you know, spoke on her life. And I'm just looking like, you, I don't believe half of it anyway. You mess with that stuff because God told me you're a witch. And so, but I'm not saying she don't know stuff. She be knowing stuff. So, you know, we'd be watching movies, get snacks, like, it was cool. And I was like, you know, God, if she wasn't who you said she was, I could probably, like, for real, like, you know, chill with her. And that's why I did one of the words that I did about don't let your heart be deceived, because he had to remind me, don't forget who I said she was and who I showed you she was. And I was just like, oh, okay, all right, like, you know, guard your heart, don't get too close. And I'm like, but I thought you told me to be your friend. I'm trying to be your friend. Like, what do you want? So she knew I was supposed to leave, and I told her, well, I'm leaving before he gets back. God said I can leave, I'm leaving. But again, my sister, that she said that I'm not her assignment, and I'm just like, okay. And God told me to be quiet about it, so I didn't say anything about it. And God showed me some things of why he wanted that to happen. And, you know, I can't say or do nothing. We all have our own free will. So, anyway, it was, so about the song, I was supposed to be her backup, and she was supposed to sing. So the day that God let me know to do it, we were practicing everything because I didn't know the song that she said that she was supposed to sing. So I'm trying to learn the song to sing with her. And then she starts talking about her throat. And I'm like, okay, not, you know, and I'm talking to God like, I thought you wanted it done today. And she's like, 2 days, I'll be ready in 2 days. And I was just like, okay, maybe she's getting that from God. And then a little after that, I pick up my phone, and there's this post on Facebook or IG. I think I took a screenshot of it. And it says something about, don't be upset. They're not ready to do what you are. You're not obligated to wait for them, or something like that. And I was just like, oh, okay, we were supposed to do it today. And then so the second day, the 2 days that, you know, she said she'd be ready, that morning I woke up with her song on my mind. So when I took her to work that morning, I told her, like, you know, I woke up with, you know, with your song on my mind. And she was like, oh, that's crazy. And we get closer to her job. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna get some medicine, you know, when I get to work, because I don't know, my throat's still. And I was just like, you know, is it like allergies? I don't know, it's just my throat, and maybe a cold, maybe allergies, I don't know. And I was just like, okay. But that's the same day God told me to wipe my hands. So she's told me before, you know, you're fake. I'm not fake. He said, if you're gonna call me fake, you'd call Jesus fake. Jesus walked with Judas, knowing what Judas was gonna do. Jesus walked with Simon Peter, knowing. And Jesus walked with a few of his disciples, knowing. He knew Thomas was gonna doubt that it was him that was resurrected. Like he knew, but he still walked with them. He still loved them. That's what he calls us to do. He calls us to walk. He calls us to love. Regardless if God's telling you something about a person or not, or allowing you to see something about a person, we are still called to love. And he tested me in that. Even though I've showed you all this stuff about her, even though you've seen with your own eyes all these different things, are you still going to love her as I'm telling you to love her? Okay? And he definitely gave me grace to do it. Definitely gave me grace to do it. Because, especially the old Cherise, not a chance. He definitely gave me grace to do it. So, but after, you know, the hands, not after. So one of the days, because I look for stuff, he told us to be as gentle as doves, but as wise as serpents. And that's exactly what I did, or been doing. So I've looked in her stuff before. I want to know what, like he said, you're a witch. I want to see if I can find some stuff. I don't know exactly what I'm looking for necessarily, but I think I might pick up on some weird stuff, you know? So I've checked her stuff before, didn't see anything too, like, you know, and I didn't just rummage all through her stuff, but just, you know, kind of surface stuff or whatever. So the day after he left, I hadn't talked to her yet. God hadn't told me that, you know, yeah, I want you to befriend her and invite her to go to your sister's house with you. I'm like, what? Kidding me? So the next day before I talked to her, I look in her drawer, and my ex-husband's t-shirt is in her drawer. And I was like, oh my God, why is this here? Because it wasn't there before. And so I take it out. I'm trying to make sure I keep it the exact way it was, and I smell it. Like, maybe she has it in here because he's gone, and maybe it smells like him and she wants to smell it. But that's still weird. Like, why wouldn't you put it under your pillow or something? So I take it out and smell it. It doesn't smell like him or anything. I'm just like, oh my God. Dude, she's doing witchcraft on him while she's gone. She got his stuff in her drawer, in her stuff, next to her stuff. And so what do? I prayed over it. Put my hand on it, and I prayed over it. I declared, I decreed, I counseled every wickedness, evil, witchcraft, voodoo, hoodoo, spell. Like, I prayed against it and prayed for his safety and his protection. So almost every day since I saw that t-shirt there, even when me and her were cool, going to the movies together, watching movies, getting food, getting snacks, all that, every day, except for the weekends, because she doesn't work on the weekends. But every day when she goes to work, I'm praying over that man's t-shirt, because it's been in her drawer, and it'll get moved around. So it's not like oh, I forgot I put that in there, or I didn't even know that was in there. Like, post pictures, it's been in different positions. And there was one time she had some pretzels, chocolate covered pretzels, and it didn't even hit me until I'm gathering all the photos I need for this video. And God had sent me an email one day about Auntie Anne's pretzels or something. I'm like, why are you sending me this? Like, why are you sending me this? And I think a day or two after that, she had a bag of white chocolate covered pretzels on top of his t-shirt. And I'm like, is that part of it? Like, is that something, like, get them pretzeled up? Like, I still don't know what that is. I don't know a whole lot about witchcraft. Gotta, I wish I knew Stephanie P. Smith so I can ask her, hey, do you know what any of these things are? But he sent me an email about pretzels, and she had a bag of pretzels on his t-shirt one day. And I was just like, what the what? So still, every day, pull the drawer open, put my hand on his t-shirt, pray over his t-shirt. And there are times that I'm reading the Bible on the bed, on his side of the bed. So after I told her, you know, God has me in isolation, you know, I won't be able to take you to work and pick you up anymore, you know, gotta totally isolate. Even me sleeping in the bed, he was like, none of it, like, cut. And I'm like, oh, all right. So she'd send me something like, you know, I appreciate everything you do, or thank you for everything you do, I appreciate you, and stuff like that. And I'm just like, So he's already starting to let me know I gotta do a video. And I'm like, oh God, okay, great, all right, fine. Okay. So, but he tells me to wait. He tells me to hold it. He tells me to pause. Like, it's not safe yet. And I'm like, okay, even with this video, I can't post this video till tonight. And I'm like, okay. All right. He knows. He knows. So he told me to pause. I couldn't post because I was going to do it a couple days ago. And it would only been, pictures of the t-shirts that are in the t-shirt that's in her drawer. So I told her I was going to go on a fast though, from Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I asked her, did she want to join me? And she never said yes or no. But the Sunday we ended up getting pizza. And while we're eating pizza, she's like, this is kind of like, and she said our last supper. So I'm thinking she's going to do the fast with me, which she did do the fast in a different way. And she's been fasting weed. She hasn't smoked since a little bit before my ex-husband left. And she got plenty of stuff. Like, I've seen her box full of resin. So the next day though, she's never asked me about dinner, ever. Even my ex-husband was like, she's doing all the cooking. I know you work, but you can still cook, and I'ma still cook. Like, she shouldn't be the only. And I didn't, it didn't mind to me because I don't start my classes and my job till next month. So I'm like, I'm here all day. Like, I can cook. It's, it makes me never mind. And he's like, no, because that's not fair. And he's like, do you like cooking? And I was just like, no, I hate it. And he knows that. So he was like, say it again. I'm like, no, I hate cooking. And he's like, and she asked me, did you talk? I didn't talk to him about none of that. I didn't say none of that. That was him. But that's part of, the narcissism. You gotta have that control. So the next day, she knows I'm supposed to be fasting. And she can't say she didn't because that night she said this is basically like, our last dinner, our last supper or whatever. And so she's like, what's for dinner? What are we doing for dinner? And I was just kind of like, I don't know. And she's like, I was thinking about doctoring up, the shrimp, that leftover shrimp. And I was just like, oh yeah, that sounds good. There's enough left for you and Kazan. Basically letting her know I'm not eating. And my daughter, she chicken nuggets and fries for right now. That's her thing. Nothing else. Chicken nuggets and fries. So I guess didn't get the response she wanted. Like, oh yeah, let's eat that or whatever. And she realizes like, I'm fasting. She didn't even cook the shrimp when she got back. She brought something for work and she ate. And I'm just like, okay. And then the next day, I'm fasting, and I think it was on Wednesday where I ended up God released me from the fast because he had me doing some other days. And so she was eating, or she came while I was eating one night, and then she didn't eat that night, and God told me to watch. And my son goes, well, sometimes she doesn't eat dinner. Yeah, I know that, but since I've been here, she's pretty much been eating dinner. And when she don't, like, I know it's usually when she's upset or something. And it's not like, oh, I'm not eating because I'm upset. Like, you're doing something. You're doing stuff. So, but the day I was supposed to post the video, or the day I thought I was supposed to record and post the video, and he told me to wait, I think it was the next day. And I'm gonna do, it was yesterday, because the video I did, I think it was yesterday. I had my braids down, and I did a word, and then I saw another prophetic word, and in her prophetic word, she uses that her prophetic word wasn't on the word, but she uses the word that I just did a prophetic word on. I'm like, oh my God, okay, God, what are you saying? And so her message was done a year ago, and it popped up on my Instagram, and I'm like, wait, what? And so, well, she just posted on Instagram, but on her YouTube channel was done a year ago. And I'm like, what? So she's talking about, don't, of course, take care of yourself, but don't be so caught up in, what people think about you, or what people say about you, or whatever, know that you're beautiful and all this other stuff. And she starts talking about, using filters and all this other stuff. You don't need to use filters, And I'll use filters sometimes, like if my face looks, really pale or whatever, or the sun isn't, the light isn't hitting right. And I'm like, yeah, this is bringing out all my dark spots. So I was going to use a filter yesterday, I was gonna use a filter yesterday, and then when I saw one of the filters, especially after watching that word, when I saw one of the filters and he set it up this way, that's why that word caught my eye. I saw one of the filters that could make your face skinnier, and I was like, oh, psh, okay, yeah, I hear you. I'm not using a filter. Like, I'm good. Like, no filter needed. So I was like, but you know, these edges is coming up right here, and all my hair stuff is in a, you know, decent sized container in the closet. And I'm like, I don't feel like getting that down just to do a 5 to 10 minute video. So I am like, I'm gonna use just a midget of her gel just to lay down this part right here, not even on my edges, just this part right here, because you know the little curly nappies coming up, like it don't look cute. So I look under the bathroom cabinet to get a little bit of her gel, and it's not in there anymore. And I'm like, okay. But because I've looked in her stuff before, because I want to see, like, you know, what you doing, because I know you're still doing stuff, I find this. And I'm like, you meant for me to see this. And this is far worse than the t-shirt, my ex-husband's t-shirt being in her drawer. Why are your underwear in your gel container? What type of hoodoo, voodoo, witchcraft stuff is that? Why are your underwear in your jar of gel and hidden, tucked away in your drawer? When I saw that, I was like, I mean, the t-shirt was enough for me, but then to see that, I was like, oh my Jesus. And I don't know what that does. I did get a prophetic word saying that, you know, they're doing new stuff. These witches are doing new stuff, something about smoke stuff or whatever. I'm like, that's not smoke. But, what? So I'm just like, oh God, okay, Jesus, all right. Okay, all right. And still then, don't post a video yet. Okay, all right. And I'm just like, Lord Jesus, this is crazy. And then, oh, this is before. Once the Lord hit me to her always sitting on the floor and her yoga mat, he reminded me of a dream that I had. And in that dream, when she woke up, when I woke her up, I'm going to post it so you guys can read some of it. But there was a wooden podium in the room. None of that stuff's here. But when I came here and I saw her cross on the wall, I'm like, that's the same type of wood that the podium was made out of in my dream. So I know that's some type of altar or something like that. I burned it today. I burned that cross on the grill. And then when I saw in my dream that because I remember, like, she was on the floor in my dream. And so I'm like, her being on the floor does have something to do with witchcraft. It does. That's part of her, you know, ritual or routine or sacrifice or something. And so I'm like, oh my God. So when I found that out, when I realized that, when he gave me revelation of that, I prayed over her mat. I didn't take it from under the bed where it's at, but I put my hand down there and I prayed over the mat, and I prayed over his t-shirt too. I prayed over the mat, and I declared and decree and counseled and bind and renounced and denounced, you know, all her stuff. That night, she didn't get on the mat. She sat on the bare floor, and this floor, there's no carpet in here, so it's wood. I know that's not comfortable. She sat on the floor that night. She did not pull out her mat. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. So then the next day, I pray over the mat. I pray over the floor. I pray over his t-shirt, and I'm walking around the house with these prayers, counseling everything down. So that night, she did pull out the mat, and she sat on the mat that night. Today, her underwear are out. Her underwear are no longer in her gel container. And his t-shirt is more pushed to the back of her drawer. So when I went on my morning walk this morning, though, I got an email and said ugly socks. And I'm laughing because I'm like, she has a sock collection. Like she has a whole bunch of, different socks. And one of those pair of socks has a fox in them. And that's how he would used to refer to her, as, a fox, like conniving and cunning and sneaky. And yeah. And so I saw those socks and I'm like, okay, is this what you wanted me to see? Because I'm like, what about the ugly socks? You want me to look in her sock drawer? So I saw those socks and I'm like, oh, okay. But then I was like, did you send me in here just to see her socks? And then, I saw the jar of gel and her underwear weren't in there. And I'm like, oh, okay, they're out. All right. Still going to pray over it. Actually, I ended up throwing that away. Threw that gel bottle away, that gel container away. And I threw her yoga mat away. So I'm looking through her drawer. Like, what do you want me to find? Because this is about to come to an end with this. But I'm trying to make sure there's nothing else he wants me to say before I end the video here. Just other stuff about like him not being able to come on certain, like the Florida trip. This lady at my daughter's school gave my youngest daughter it says, I'm gonna show it, the evil eye, but it's talking about protection, all this stuff. God showed me a long time ago, the evil eye spell, witchcraft, whatever, that is not for protection. No one can protect you other than God. But it's basically witches use that, or warlocks use that on people they're jealous of, people that they want to ruin or destroy their lives. So she gave this to my daughter and I threw that mess away. But this was around the time that we're talking about going to Florida, me and my ex-husband. And I sent him this text like, you need to be careful and I won't be surprised if you change your mind or for some reason you can't go anymore. And he's like, well, let's not put negative in the air. That's new age talk. That's witchcraft too. You need to be careful. What happened? He did end up not changing his mind. He used my kids as reasons why he couldn't go. Oh, well, Sarai, she wanted to go. She wants to see her, her friend, Okay, then, I'm sorry, I can't go, And I'm just like, dude, God just used all these scenarios, just different situations to expose you. Like Kazan said, he would have stayed behind and you still could have came. And so when my daughter said, got Kazan to agree to stay and that she could still come, and Jayus, he flipped out on my daughter. I'm like, why are you flipping out on her? So that's when I knew, like, you didn't want to be the one to say no. So God made let all these different scenarios play out to push it back on you. So you would have to be like, I can't go. So he got upset about that. And, but what happened the day that he did say he would go? His back. He could barely get out of bed. Last Easter, not this past Easter, the Easter before, I think it was the Easter before, he didn't go to church with us, but we did go out to eat. That's usually what we do. We go to church and we go out to eat, even when we weren't married. And he told her and he told me, like, I don't want to go to church with her anymore because we used to do that he told me I don't go to church anymore, and I don't want to go with you to church anymore because we used to go as a family. And I don't want those memories and stuff. But he told her he doesn't go to church anymore and doesn't go to church with me because he doesn't want me to think that we're going to be a family again. So, he plays the two. He plays the two. He just switches things around for both of us. So, but that Easter, he said he was going to go to church with us and out to eat with us. But his back started hurting. Not a coincidence. I was hospitalized 2 times in Texas. And they had no clue what was wrong with me. I had to get a blood transfusion. I had to get, I believe, 3 bags of blood. When I left, the discharge nurse said you would have been in ICU, but because you were still walking around and breathing and talking, they just put you, it's the next level above ICU. And I didn't know it was that serious until she said that, and because the doctor told me, like, this is, it's critical, you could die, but it's an easy fix, we just got to give you blood. I'm like, okay, give me blood. But every time a different nurse, the nurses would switch shifts, the nurse that would tell the next nurse why I was there and my hemoglobin levels, the next nurse would always be like, oh. And so once they kept doing that with different nurses, I'm like, wait, how bad is this thing? Like, you guys keep like, and it was bad. Your hemoglobin level, if it's below 7, that's when you need a blood transfusion. And it could be as high as 15. One of my other doctors was like, mine's 15. I'm like, I need yours. I'm always tired. I'm always like, you know. And so below a 7 is when they want to get, I think a 7 and below is when they want to give you a blood transfusion. When I got there, they took it twice because they thought maybe something was messed up. The first one they took, it was at a 4.2. And they're like, basically, this can't be right. So they took it again, and then it was a 4.1. And they're like, yeah, you're gonna have to be admitted. We gotta do a blood transfusion. We need to watch you, da, da, da. And they ran all these different tests and stuff. And they didn't know what was wrong. They're like, do you bleed heavy? Do you this? Do you that? No. Where's all your blood going? I don't know. I didn't know I was losing blood. That was her. That was her. And God let me have a mental breakdown to cause me to go to the hospital, because he kept trying to tell me to go to the hospital. I don't know what he was saying. So when I get there and then I find that out, and I'm like, that's why you kept pushing me to go to the hospital. So he allowed the situation I was in to be worse and basically break me down to where I'm like, you know, I called the cops on him, like, somebody please help me. God's trying to kill me. And so they picked me up in an ambulance or whatever, and we go to the hospital, and yeah, sweetie, you're about to die. We need to put some blood in you. And then another time I come out here, and he tells me to go to the hospital. I'm like, but why? And I go, and they're like, oh, well, your hemoglobin it's you know, it's low, but it's not low enough to where you need, you know, a blood transfusion or anything. And I was just like, okay. I left, and then God told me to go back. I'm like, why I gotta go back? You got me spending money on these, you know, Ubers, Lyfts, or whatever. Like, I go back a couple hours later. They check my, they test my blood and stuff again. And they're like, okay, well, your blood was here a few hours ago when you're here, but now it's here. So we're gonna admit you. And I was admitted for another 3 days. That visit, the first one was 3 days. This one was 3 days. God's number. This time they didn't pump me with blood. They pumped me with a whole bunch of iron. Last time when they had to give me a blood transfusion, nothing was wrong. My iron was good. And usually my iron's a little low. A little. Not severe. Just a little. But the time I went for blood, even my iron was good, which surprised me. And I'm like, my iron's good? My iron's never good. But it's never extremely bad or low. So this time they pumped me with full iron, all this other stuff. Even when I went to the mental hospital this last time, from leaving my ex-husband's house with the ex-girlfriend being here, they had to watch my hemoglobin level too, because they were about to transfer me to another unit to give me a blood transfusion. But they started giving me like a whole ton of vitamins and stuff. And they're like, okay, you're good. And even with all those vitamins and stuff, my hemoglobin level never gets to where it could or should be. So my sister, when we were in the shelter, she went to the hospital one night. We hadn't been talking, so I didn't know until later. And she had to get a blood transfusion. And God had let me know. He shows me a certain thing to let me know when she's like doing her witchcraft, when she's up to stuff. And I told my sister, that's witchcraft. I'm like, that she caused that. And my sister's like, no, actually God, allowed this to happen so I can go here for this. And I found out about this, which is, more serious. And I'm like, okay. And I just told her, okay, because God had already let me know before I even knew that my sister was in the hospital and she had to get a blood transfusion, that his ex-girlfriend was up to stuff. 2 sisters needing a blood transfusion in a year, and me possibly needing another one in the same year. That stuff doesn't run in our family. We're not walking vampires around here. And it's funny because I had a dream about that, about me looking like a vampire. Did my makeup and everything, but my makeup when I came in the light, because I like being not in the dark, but I don't need light. It's daytime. I don't need the light on. So I'll even do my makeup like in a light like this. But when I would go to the light to look in a mirror in the light, my face was super pale, and this dream was recent. I better not end up back in the hospital. Anyway, my sister needed a blood transfusion too. It's like, okay. And I told him, look, she's trying to kill. She's coming for the kill, but tell her my God is bigger. And why it was able to affect me so much like that is because I was walking in willful sin. There were things that God told me to put down that I was having a really hard time putting down. And to be honest, I was trying, but I wasn't trying as hard as I could have. I was just kind of like, I'm tired, God. Like, just please give me a pass. Like, I'm tired. Because when you are walking in obedience, full obedience, and walking away from willful sin, their attacks can't get you like that. Like, but hers put me in the hospital twice. Anyway, so today with the ugly socks led me to look in her sock drawer. And so I was like, okay, what's in the sock drawer? Oh, and with the cross, when you see pictures of the cross, or whenever I show them, I took a picture of the side of the cross being like that because in my dream, I said the wood podium that's made of the same wood this cross is. That's how I know she uses it somehow. I don't know how, but she uses it. I said it could have been pushed towards the wall more. And if you see this cross, it's on a thumbnail, not like a nail, so it can be actually pushed and made, flesh? With the wall, it's kind of out a little bit because it's on a thumbtack and not a nail. So this is what I'm talking about in my dream when I said the wood podium could have been pushed back to the wall more. So I go in her sock drawer today. Oh, and as far as us being divorced and stuff like that, and I still do a separate video on that just to explain more, but they've been talking for 3 years. And I knew he was going to talk to her because I had this dream May 14th of 22. We didn't get divorced till August of 22. And we weren't even fully separated until the end of May, June. And even when I came back from Florida, my ex-husband thought he was going to be able to make things work with me. But God was like, burn the bridge. So that's what I did. And in a different video, I'll explain the different reasons why. But I had a dream that he talked to her and he didn't feel any type of way. He didn't think it was wrong. And so when I did address him, when she told me that they had been talking for 3 years, I'm like, we've been separated and divorced for 3 years. We were separated since we started talking about it. I started talking about it in April. I filed the papers, I believe in May. And we were officially divorced in August. But he was talking, if it wasn't her, he was talking to somebody else before then. But he did reach out to her before we even got divorced. And you don't have to be physical to cheat. He knew what he reached out to her for. So finally, when I kept asking, like, did you reach out to her while we were still married? Like, did you? And finally, he was just like, he apologized. And that was it. Yeah, that was wrong. I'm sorry. Like, he didn't say nothing else. But I told him before, and he flipped out, and he was like, whoever said that is an effing liar. And I was like, God said it before we got divorced. I told him, God told me that you're going to cheat on me and that you don't want to do this walk with me. He did cheat, not physically. I mean, he did end up physically cheating too. But he still cheated. And what Jesus says, even the thoughts of lust and affections and attention towards another woman, that's still cheating. So he spoke to women or reached out to women with the thought of pursuing, if not a relationship, something. And he reached out to her. And then she told me, I'm still, how much stuff I've had to deal with because of you. And I'm like, that's your fault. You got with the man that's not healed. And he's still not healed. Whatever you feel you had to put up with from him because of me, you got with him before we even officially divorced. That's your fault. That man needed time to heal, and he's still not healed. But he did. he reached out to her before we were even divorced. So that was his cheating. And me coming back and forth to stand for him for 3 years, that was him proving all the time that he did not want to walk the walk. And he says all the time, well, I told you I would never marry you again if you divorced me. Even before that, he didn't fight. And I say that, and I didn't even know that's what God wanted him to do, or that's what God intended him to do. Because I would tell him, you know, I need you to print these papers, you know, can you print these papers at your job and bring them to me? And there would be stuff about our divorce or stuff about custody and stuff. And he'd bring me everything. Like, he was obviously irritated and upset about it, but he'd bring them to me. And I'm just like, okay, let me fill them out. It wasn't until, and I didn't know this until this happened, until I told him something else happened, because I was asking God about, you know, changing my last name and stuff. And it wasn't until he did something when I was staying with him before I went to Georgia. And I was like, God. And that's when God said to change my last name. And I was like, okay. So I emailed him the form and I said, can you print this out and, you know, bring it home, you know, so I can change my last name. And that's when he said no. Every other time I've asked him to print out papers and bring them home regarding our divorce, custody, all this stuff, he never flinched. He never said, well, what can we do to where, like, he never said any of that. Nothing. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything until I said, can you print these papers out so I can change my last name? And I guess that's when he had it. And he was like, no, I'm not printing out nothing else, all this other stuff. And I was just like, okay, fine. And I was applying for our daughter's Social Security at the time. So the next day I was like, you know, I need to use the car to, you know, fax them, you know, all this stuff. And he basically let me know, do that and nothing else. And I knew he was talking about, like, don't try and go get no paperwork to change your last name, none of that. But me, and I was just like, okay. So I go there ready to, you know, to print this stuff out so I can fill it out and get it sent to them to change my last name. And then God told me no. And I'm like, but you just told me to ask him to print this out to change my last name. Now that I have access to print this stuff out and change it, why are you saying no? And that's when he gave me revelation. When he put his foot down against me detaching, withdrawing from him, or severing the tie, God honored that. God honored his no. God honored him saying no, he's not going to print out the papers for me to change my last name. But he didn't say no to any of the other stuff. So that was the part of he did cheat before we got divorced, and him proving that he was not going to do the walk with me, or that he didn't want to do the walk with me. Let me see if there's anything else. Other stuff I've posted, I've probably posted different video pictures and stuff on here. You can just, you know, read through them, pause the video and read through them if you want. I'm not trying to make this video longer than it already is. So I'm just going to post stuff you can read. I did tell him and sent him videos and a man did these videos. God sent me these videos from a man, and I sent him to him, like, please watch these videos. Like, God is trying to warn you. And I knew she wanted a baby. She's talked to me about how my ex-husband promised her a baby, and my ex-husband said after JS, that's why I got my tubes. Well, one was already gone, but that's why I got the other one out, because we agreed, like, you don't want no more kids, I don't want no more kids. Good. But she was like, he promised me a baby, but when I got here, he just kept saying, you know, now's not the time and all this other stuff, but he still promised me a baby or whatever. And then I told him, you know, you want more kids? I don't want no kids. I'm done. I was like, well, she said you promised her a baby, so as I'm looking through her drawer and stuff for other stuff, because now that I'm doing this video, I'm like, oh, I'm about to look, and I don't care if she knows that I'm looking. Like I said, I burnt her cross, threw away her yoga mat, threw away that gel jar, threw away my son's ring. I'll bring that up right now. And yeah, like, you're not about to keep doing witchcraft on my ex-husband. You're not about to keep doing witchcraft on my kids. You're not going to keep doing witchcraft on me. Like, it's done. Like, you're not going to keep afflicting me, my children, or my ex-husband, and anyone else in my family. And that goes for my sister. Like, you're not about to keep afflicting no one else in this family. It stops today. Tonight, it stops. But I found this pregnancy test. And so she could have already been pregnant. She could have had a miscarriage. I saw some pads at the bottom of her drawer that looked like pads that you would wear after you have a baby or miscarriaging, you know, with the bleeding and stuff. So she very could have possibly had a miscarriage. One of the songs God gave me in reference to her is saying, is the one, all that she wants is another baby. She's gone tomorrow. So, oh. And that was basically what he was saying, to the where it's at now. She's seeing she's losing the battle of keeping him for herself. Not even, like, God told me I didn't have to stand for him anymore. But he is my assignment. God's made him my assignment to bring him to God back in 2016, before he ever told me that he was my husband. So I have not completed that assignment. And until he tells me to drop that assignment, that's what I'm going to be doing, as he leads me to do, is to bring my ex-husband to God, because God told me to bring him to him. And that's what I'm going to do. And I know I have to help him carry his cross. So I'm not standing for him in a marriage anymore. God said I didn't have to, but I still have the first assignment God ever gave me with him, and to help him carry his cross. But as far as the pregnancy thing, he said, she said she wanted a baby, and he was basically letting me know it's to the point where she cares if she's able to keep him, if she's able to get him. But if she could just get a baby by him, that'll be good with her, because she knows they'll be connected forever if she ends up having his baby. So, which God has shown me things about that too. But I don't think I'm gonna speak on that right now. I don't think I'm called to speak on that. If he calls me to do a video about that, I will. But right now, I don't believe he's calling me to speak on it. But anyway, as far as the sock drawer today, him having me go in the sock drawer today, I'm finding stuff that I'm just like, none of this stuff is of God. And I'm not saying, oh, because she's a freak, she's not, a godly woman. I know before my walk, I wasn't doing this stuff because I prefer the real thing. But we're supposed to change. We're supposed to be purified. Where's the fruit? Because she would always ask me, you don't have no fruit. You don't have no fruit. First of all, what are you talking about? Because you keep saying I don't have fruit. Are you talking about fruit as far as like, what God has blessed me with and stuff? Or are you like, what fruit? And she's like, the fruit of the Spirit. I have fruit of the Spirit. I'm not saying I have all, but I definitely have fruit of the Holy Spirit. And I would tell him, I recently told him what the fruit of the Spirit is. And I was like, do you see any of that in me? Do you see any of that in her? And I told him, you don't have to answer that. That was a rhetorical question. Like, I know I have fruits of the Spirit. I don't see the fruits of the Spirit in her. And when I do see her be calm and stuff like that, like it's what's the word? It's a facade. It's fake. It's calculated. She's very, very calculated. Very calculated. And so I'm like, you're not talking about me not having no fruits of the Spirit, because I have fruit. I want to be able to love you with the love of Christ if I didn't have no fruit. Like, the Holy Spirit is definitely in me, not on me, not with me, in me. He's definitely in me. And that's another thing. Like, when my ex-husband watches his sermons in the morning, like, I've never seen her watch a sermon. I've never seen her read her Bible. She's never prayed. Anytime we talked and I'd be like, okay, let's pray. I pray. When my ex-husband asked us to pray over his uncle and his family, I prayed. She's never prayed. I don't see her pray. Not saying she has to do stuff for me to see it, but I'm very observant. I don't see none of your works for God. I don't see none of your worship to God. The songs she plays, they're pretty much all secular. I've only heard her play a couple of Christian songs. Most of the stuff she listens to is secular. And I'm just like, where's God? You can, everyone that says, Lord, Lord, you're not going to heaven. Where is God in you? And this stuff, the panties in the container of gel, my ex-husband's t-shirt, your ex-boyfriend's t-shirt in your drawer, all these dildos in your drawer. Now, masturbation isn't a sin itself, but I'm not saying we can't fall and be like, God, hey, just, But that's intentional, and you got several. You got 3 in this drawer and then 2 in the other one. And so when I found these, I'm like, what are all these for? Like, what do you need all these for? My ex-husband, he has a pretty good appetite. Pretty healthy appetite. What do you need these for? Why do you need these? And why do you need so many? That's not of God. Your underwear being in jail isn't of God. His t-shirt being in your drawer isn't of God. You being on that yoga mat every day for hours is not of God. Yoga in itself is not of God. It's worship to a little g god, a demonic deity. Like, this stuff is not of God. And if you're struggling with wanting to pleasure yourself, struggle with your hand or something. Like I said, this is intentional. You to have all these, that's intentional. And then to put the cherry on top, you have my son's ring in your drawer. And like, I was at first hesitant, like, no, that's not his ring. But I'm like, is that his ring? I'm like, no, it's not his ring. So when he woke up, and my dumb self gave it to him, like, it was in her drawer. And he's like, what? I don't even know, like, why was it in her drawer? I don't even know how she got it. I don't know. And then I thought about it after a few minutes. I was like, wait a minute, give me the ring. That was in the dumpster too. No, you can't have that ring back. Why is my son's ring in your drawer, in the back of your drawer? So I believe I've addressed majority of what I need to address on here. I got nothing else. Yeah. I got nothing else. So yeah, take it to God. Take this word to God. Take me to God. I pray that you get whatever he wants you to get out of this. And that you're praying for everyone involved. Godly prayers. Praying for everyone involved. But yeah, that's all I got. Remember, God loved you then. No matter what you did back then, he loves you now. No matter what you're doing now, and he'll love you in the future. No matter what you may do in the future, God loves you and he calls you righteous. So stay righteous. If you're not righteous, for the love of God, get righteous, because not every day is promised to you. And I'm praying, because this was, like I said, I believed my Father when he showed me and he told me, but it's different to see it with your own eyes. It's different to see it. Like, I see it in visions, I've seen it in dreams, like, but to, like, physical, not in the spiritual, but I mean, spiritual is more real than physical, but like physical touch, like, so yeah. All right, you guys have a blessed one. I will talk to you later. I'm out. Bye. Hey you. Okay, so I didn't edit this video yet because I watch all my videos before I post them, make sure I need to put something in that I may have skipped over, or maybe put scripture in or something. But I haven't watched the video yet or anything. But I went to the store and then it was like, and I completely forgot to put this in the video. Yes.
I want to watch your mommy's phone, the kids.
Okay, give me a second. Tell Kaysen to give you the iPad. So I also forgot my daughter, that she did the same form of witchcraft on all of us, me, my sister, and one of my daughters. And that was, I don't know what she did. Maybe it's like an ugly spell or something. That's what I heard it was called. But globs of our hair was coming out. My daughter, not the baby, but the middle one, my sister, and me. Just crazy amount of hair coming out. And I'm like, me? Yeah, maybe. My sister, even my sister. Okay, yeah, maybe we had the same surgery. Sometimes the side effect is your hair thinning and coming out. My daughter, who's 14, and hair is thick as all get out, losing globs of hair. No. So she was also doing witchcraft on my daughter. I believe she started doing that after my daughter spoke out against some stuff. Then my son, after he spoke to us, when my ex-husband came to get me from the hotel and bring me back to his house, before that, when he spoke out, no, not then, this time, when he spoke out against some stuff she had been telling him and joking with him about and stuff that wasn't appropriate, I knew then she was going to start doing witchcraft on him. So I wasn't surprised to find his ring in her drawer. The other thing is destiny swap. I've heard about this before. Oh, the ugly spell too. I would break out in these little tiny white bumps, like on my chest and stuff, and my face, and have these random breakouts. And I'm like, what is this? But I already knew about the ugly spell. It just didn't snap at the time. Even this morning, I woke up with a couple of bumps on my forehead, and I was just like, whatever. I know you guys are like, okay, she's doing too much. Some of this stuff ain't real. It really is. I promise you it is. I'm experiencing it. So it's not just like me telling you because I heard, like I'm experiencing it. The destiny swap. I've heard about that before too. And it's not that I didn't believe it, but it did seem far-fetched, but it's not that I didn't believe it. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, all right. The Father gave me a word. I'll be able to do that word now that I'm releasing this video. I couldn't do it before when I got the word, because at first I thought he meant something different, and then afterwards I was like, oh, that's what you meant. It's homogeneous, I believe the word is, and it means like the same or similar or something. And he gave it to me, and that was 4th of July, the day we went. No, it was the day after 4th of July. And I had to take her back to the movie theater to, so they can look at her receipt, because she was like, they charged me double for, there were some inaccurate charges. So, I take her to the bank to get her bank account set up. This is what I'm saying, like the love of Christ. It's not about works. I mean, it's not about, what people see. It's trying to develop a genuine love for people that are hard to love. And the whole time I'm knowing, this t-shirt is in her drawer and stuff, but I'm called to serve and love unless God tells me to wipe my hands or to remove my presence. But this day I take her to the bank to get her bank account set up, and I take her to the movie theater to check the charges, and a song came on. And at the same exact time, me and her start doing the same dance. Same exact time. And then we look at each other and we start laughing. So when that happened, I tell her the word I got for that day. And I was like, me and you doing the same dance at the same exact time. I was like, that's God confirming that, I guess we're similar or whatever. Because I did see some similarities in her and I. Even one of the videos I did, the first video I did here on Kingdom Marriage, since I've been here, I watched that video and I was like, am I tripping, or am I giving her vibes? Like, am I kind of seeming like I'm acting like her? And then I was like, or does she act like me? But I watched that video and I was just kind of looking at myself like, that's interesting and a little unsettling. So I tell her, and then, I was like, God gave me this word. This is what it means. And when me and you did this, that I believe that's him confirming that, we're alike. And I was like, oh yeah, we're more alike than I thought. Okay, yeah, I get it. I could see that. And so she goes, yeah, that's funny, because even Cheche, that's my ex-husband's nickname. I don't call him that no more. Even Cheche would sometimes tell me, like, I don't know why you guys hate each other. And it wasn't a hate thing. It's just like, I know what you do and stuff, and I don't like it. I'm not for it. It's against everything of God. But he said she's redeemable, so I'm gonna love her like he tells me to. But he said, I don't know. Kaizen, I'm recording. Can you turn that down, please? So she told me that he said to her, I don't know why you guys hate each other. You guys have a lot of similarities. And I was just like, oh, okay. So the last few days, I haven't been getting them. Like the last 2 or 3 days, I haven't gotten them. But before, for a few days, I was getting chills. And when I first got it, I was just like, oh, that's weird. And it's Texas. It's summer in Texas. Chills for what? So when I first got it, I was just like, oh, that's strange. I never get chills, unless I'm really sick or something. But, okay, whatever. And then it kept happening. Not super frequent, but frequent enough to where I'm just like, why am I getting chills? This is so weird. And it's so random out of nowhere. Why am I getting chills? And so after it happened a few times, I asked God, I was like, okay, what is this? Why am I getting chills? It's starting to irritate me. Like, why am I getting chills? And I'm like, she be talking about she gets goosebumps. Like whenever she hears me speak a word or I'm talking something about God's been saying and then she sees it manifest, or like she'll see stuff or even stuff on her own, or we'll see stuff at the same time. So that's what I'm saying. She does not know, but she practiced divination. She does witchcraft. But she talks about getting goosebumps a lot. So I was asking God, like, why am I getting these chills? She be talking about getting goosebumps. Is this a new way you're talking to me or something? Like, what is this? And so I left it alone. And I think it was the next day I got an email saying that explain it with a, question, emoji face, kind of like, explain it. Why do we get goosebumps? And I was like, and then I'm like, destiny swap? Are you serious? Like I knew she was doing stuff, but I'm like I said, he shows me stuff, tells me stuff, and I believe it. And it's not like I don't believe him. But experiencing it and physically being able to touch and see stuff, it threw me for a loop. I'm like, this mess is like for real freaking crazy. Like you're trying to be like me or take my life or swap your life with mine. And if you're saying God's been telling you he's your kingdom husband, you guys are kingdom spouses, you wouldn't have to do the stuff you're doing to make it manifest, because it's not of God. God's never going to let that manifest. Even if you guys use your own free will, because he did let me know my ex-husband was going to go full blown into that relationship. And my ex-husband told me he did really think it was going to work. And God had to save him from himself and her. So yeah, she was doing a destiny swap, spells, witchcraft, whatever, to where I'm experiencing some of her stuff, and she's that was another thing that he made me aware of, that she was doing it, and he gave me here you go, here's your proof that she is doing that. It's crazy. And I wanted to also explain some of the reasons why I'm doing this video, why he's having me do this video. Not only is it testimony, it's witnessing, it's different ways that God works, even if you don't believe or agree with me. The fruit will show. You'll see the fruit. Test the spirit. Check the fruit. You'll see it. I don't have to elaborate on that. How to fight spiritually. Some of the stuff he had me do, I'm just kind of and he had to keep reminding me, this is spiritual. This is a spiritual battle. And I'm like, well, some of this stuff you have me doing in the physical, transfers to the spiritual, like me sleeping in the bed in the middle of both of them. And bringing awareness and attention to one, it had to show her something. And two, he's been building me up with all this stuff, like being in control of my emotions, speaking when he tells me to speak, and being quiet when he tells me not to say anything, being more observant, learning how to love but still discern, teaching me ugly ways that are in myself. And other reasons for doing this video is, to expose witchcraft, expose that the narcissist, the diagnosis of narcissism is a Leviathan spirit. It's spiritual. Jezebel spirit, witchcraft, like all that stuff is real. Some of the ways God works, some of the ways he speaks, it's not always going to be, in your ear, in your head. These pictures of, these emails and texts and stuff I get, like that's him speaking, and only do I understand it because of his wisdom and discernment, or else I wouldn't understand half of the stuff he sends me, or be able to decode or break it down or link things together, which and the enemy can do that too. So you have to be super careful, super safe. I mean, super safe. What were the other reasons you helped me do this video, Father? Exposure, testimony, witnessing, different ways that he has us stand. The fact that I'm still standing in the gap for my ex-husband, not in marriage, but because God told me to bring him to him. So I still have to cover and intercede for my ex-husband in prayer and engage in warfare for him. Me taking the t-shirt out of her drawer and burning it. I burnt that to a crisp, like making sure there was no stitch of thread left on that t-shirt, and burning her cross and stuff, and throwing out the stuff I know she's using to do witchcraft. And I'm curious about some other stuff that she has, but God told me not to touch anything else, so I'm not going to touch anything else. Curiosity killed the cat. I'm good. I'll leave it alone. But I did want to come back on here and add that stuff because that hit my mind when I went to the grocery store. So I believe this video is now done. I will be making other videos probably in connection to this video, or spin-offs for this video to further break down and explain things. But I believe that is all right now. If you believe in the Heavenly Father, in the Holy Ghost, Jesus Christ, if you believe in the Trinity, pray for us. Pray for my ex-husband. Pray for her, that she seeks him and not try to live in both kingdoms, because you can't. Pray for me. Pray for my kids. Pray for my family. Pray for this roof we're under, because we're all still living under it. She'll be here and momentarily. My ex-husband doesn't get back till, I'm not going to say when he gets back. Pray for safe travels for him, though. Pray for his safety where he's at, because I know he's getting into stuff out there too. So just pray for him, okay? Pray for my kids, and you pray for me. I'm definitely praying for you guys. Pray for the flooding in Texas. God, this is so much. There's so much going on. It's crazy. But yeah, okay, now that's it. You guys have a good one. Bye.